It takes the whole of life to learn how to live. And what will perhaps make you wonder more, it takes the whole of life to learn how to die. Take a view from above. Look at the thousands of flocks and herds, the thousands of human ceremonies, every sort of voyage in storm or calm, the range of creation, combination and extinction. Consider too the lives once lived by others long before you, the lives that will be lived after you, the lives lived now among foreign tribes, and how many never even heard your name. How many will very soon forget it? How many praise you now but quickly turn to blame? Reflect that neither memory nor fame, nor anything else at all, has any importance worth thinking of. Often, a very old man has no other proof of his long life than his age. Penetrate into their directing minds, and you will see what sort of critics you fear, and what poor critics they are of themselves. You act like mortals in all that you fear, and like immortals in all that you desire. If someone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake in any thought or action, I shall gladly change. I seek the truth, by which no one has ever truly been harmed. The harm is to persist in one's own self-deception and ignorance. Some things are within our power, while others are not. Within our power are opinion, motivation, desire, aversion, and, in a word, whatever is of our own doing. Not within our power are our body, our property, reputation, office, and, in a word, whatever is not of our own doing. The greatest obstacle to life is expectancy, which hangs upon tomorrow and loses today. You are arranging what lies in fortune's control and abandoning what lies in yours. Is someone afraid of change? Well, what can ever come to be without change? Or what is dearer or closer to the nature of the whole than change? Can you yourself take your bath if the wood that heats it is not changed? Can you be fed unless what you eat changes? Can any other of the benefits of life be achieved without change? Do you not see then that for you to be changed is equal and equally necessary to the nature of the whole? They lose the day in expectation of the night, and the night in fear of the dawn. Do not dream of possession of what you do not have. Rather, Reflect on the greatest blessings in what you do have, and on their account, remind yourself how much they would have been missed if they were not there. But at the same time, you must be careful not to let your pleasure in them habituate you to dependency, to avoid distress if they are sometimes absent. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Life is long enough, and a sufficiently generous amount has been given to us for the highest achievements, if it were all well invested. But when it is wasted in heedless luxury and spent on no good activity, we are forced at last, by death's final constraint, to realize that it has passed away before we knew it was passing. So it is. We are not given a short life, but we make it short, and we are not ill-supplied, but wasteful of it. Life is long if you know how to use it. Say to yourself first thing in the morning, "Today, I shall meet people who are meddling, ungrateful, aggressive, treacherous, malicious, unsocial. All this has afflicted them through their ignorance of true good and evil. But I have seen that the nature of good is what is right, and the nature of evil what is wrong. And I have reflected that the nature of the offender himself is akin to my own, not a kinship of blood or seed, but a sharing in the same mind, the same fragment of divinity. Therefore I cannot be harmed by any of them, as none will infect me with their wrong. Nor can I be angry with my kinsman or hate him. We were born for cooperation, like feet, like hands, like eyelids, like the rows of upper and lower teeth. So to work in opposition to one another is against nature, and anger or rejection is opposition. In guarding their fortune, men are often close-fisted. Yet when it comes to the matter of wasting time, in the case of the one thing in which it is right to be miserly, they show themselves most extravagant. If any man despises me, that is his problem. My only concern is not doing or saying anything deserving of contempt. You live as if you are destined to live forever. No thought of your frailty ever enters your head. Of how much time has already gone by, you take no heed. You squander time as if you drew from a full and abundant supply, though all the while that day which you bestow on some person or thing is perhaps your last. Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it, if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present. As far as I am concerned, I know that I have lost not wealth, but distractions. The body's needs are few. It wants to be free from cold, to banish hunger and thirst with nourishment. If we long for anything more, we are exerting ourselves to serve our vices, not our needs. Constantly test your mental impressions, each one individually if you can. Investigate the cause, identify the emotion, apply the analysis of logic. But life is very short and anxious for those who forget the past, neglect the present, and fear the future.
Are you crying? Are you crying? Are you crying? There's no crying. There's no crying in foosball.
You fucking cried after 3 days in the fucking holding tank. Looked like a fucking pile of wet rags at court. You should see how I showed up to court after 3 days in the box with the light on.
Please, is there anything I can do, sir? Please.
Does he look like a bitch? What?
Don't do this to my wife, man. You don't know what you're doing to my family, man.
Does he look like a bitch?
Sir, please don't make me sleep in jail tonight, sir. Please. I'm begging.
We're not criminals.
They're gonna make me sleep in jail.
Continue. You were saying something about best intentions?
Josh has never been arrested for recording.
Okay, so that's him getting arrested, and then his friend here makes a phone call that I want to touch on.
If you come to a spiritual understanding that you have a living God here, that you have a relationship with, and it tells you how to live, and that statute, policy, and code that they write up and remix every 2 weeks is not your law, well, then you're going to start to have a change of mind and heart and vision. And what's going to follow with that is a correction of the record to the original status of man and woman on the land under God with natural rights. That's the natural, organic, authentic progression of any being I've ever met who does this walk, including myself. You were born on the land, right? You're subject to the law of the land and God's law, absent some loss, injury, and harm, and that you are not here to be governed by statutes, policy, and code, which your own law of the land, Bill of Rights, and Declaration says is through consent of the governed. Statute, policy, and code is giving the force of law through the consent of the governed. Well, I'm returning back to the land on paper, right? And this is the other part of it. The natural progression to anybody who does this is like you see me out in a cabin, in the mountains, in the woods, is back to the land, right? The same way you were born on the land under God, you should be growing your own food. You should have your own clean water sources. You should be away from the cities and suburbs with all the toxic frequencies and ideologies, propaganda. This is the natural, organic progression of a being who wants to be back where they're meant to be, right? Under God, so to speak, supernatural.
Listen to me.
You have to understand that there is a place at times for doing what's true and what's right, surrendering the rest under God in faith, and then letting your body have whatever's going to be done to it, because you don't have control over that. All you have control over is your thoughts, emotions, actions, inactions, and what's on the record. And guess what? We're all going to be judged by that record by the end of this. If not at the court, like the Castro and all the rest of them, we're going to be judged with that spiritual force. Because guess what? If I know you, if I can look at you and know you, I got a feeling that thing can look at you and know you, because I got a relationship with it, and I seem to have that experience. In the middle of believe is the word lie, right? Belief requires a choice. If you have a relationship with this universe and this truth, and you become one with it, there's no more belief. They can't pimp on you. They can't trick you out of position. Oh, no, I know what you're doing. How are we going to get everybody to really rise to the occasion and be honorable, authentic, faithful men who surrender the outcome? How are you going to do that if it's not through these demons and dark forces testing and challenging everybody's bitch-ass ego? Forgive me if that's triggering, right? Paulie's getting a little ghetto. That's what they'll say. But this is the reality of it. The darkness, the dark forces, these are our greatest teachers and testers. They're going to make a man out of you one way or the other. Bet on it. What's the purpose of that? Because Shaitan apparently works hundreds of thousands of years to somehow get humanity under its fucking thumb. Through socialization, communism, collectivism, fascism, all the isms lead back to the same idea. Where do you think we're going now with the social credit and the Bitcoin? You think this is a coincidence? To be system matrix, there's something in us or around us that's all connected, whether it's God or the devil, and it's working toward the same end based on our choice. You're going to go with God or you're going to go with the beings in and of this world. What do you think they did the last time when they took the gold and silver by code out of the system and gave everybody the social security system with the credit-based, debt-based system, right? They already did away with lawful money, gold and silver, 100-something years ago. And they're going to do it again. Now they're going to replace fiat with digital currency. And they're going to tokenize everybody's beingness. They already did that. When they created the all caps name and created this social security system, took the lawful money out of existence and engineered world wars. Hello, we're there again. Right. It was right after a slamdemic.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. We have Mr. Rasta in the back. A very fiery intro, as always. God is good, and others are here today from other platforms that I essentially started, other channels, whether they know it or not. And that's okay. I'm not necessarily looking for credit for that. In fact, it actually discredits me to a degree. But he comes in and he goes, is this what they're all hating on him for? And actually, yeah. Speaking straightforward truth as I see it, right, wrong, or indifferent. Encouraging all of us to rise to an occasion, meet life on life's terms, be enlightened, empowered, inspired, co-creative, uphold the law, exercise rights and freedoms. Yeah, that's exactly what they're hating on me for. And for, let's be really real, like we always are. More appropriately, what they're hating on me for is calling people out directly, right? Like when I point out the loser failuredom and the weakness and the cowardice and the denial and the delusion, that's frowned upon. So yeah, this broadcast is subject to and touches on reality, life on life's terms. And what we've learned, or what I've learned in this life, is most people frown upon life on life's terms. They have this thing where they prefer to just create their own reality to live in rather than comport themselves to the one we're experiencing. So that's pretty much what that is. This broadcast focuses on talking about the truth about the world, and most people don't like that. They go, we have so many other things we could focus on and pretend about. Why would we focus on the problems and then bringing solutions to those problems? And I go, okay, I guess I'm one of the few who's into the actualization realization thing, as if there's anything else to do here. So good to see. Yeah, the community has many false prophets. I am here to seek out the truth. Well, you're onto it, right? I've noticed you at other places, whether you realize I'm there or not. I'm watching from time to time. And you're absolutely onto it. There's a man who I refer to as Slackcott, among others. But typically nowadays, he's the one that shall not be named, like the Voldemort creature. So you're learning, or you're seeing, you're getting it, that there's a ton of false prophets in this non-munity, as I call it, because it's not a community. In order to have a community, you have to have the root word in alignment. And what is that? Communing with higher sense of self and universal law. And the majority of folks are not doing that, but claiming to know God, claiming to know themselves, claiming to know others, and claiming to be coaches and gurus and heroes and activists and scholars and all the rest. And the reality shows on the record with their results that they're none of that. Quite the opposite. So it's very simple. If you want to know who's a false prophet and who's not, just ask them what they're doing. And when they give you the Ralph Cramden humana, or they start deflecting and obfuscating, or they just start outright bullshitting, you know that you're onto it, right? It's a very simple litmus test. Just ask all of them what they're doing and being to change the problems we face in this realm, and they're going to give you nothing, or they're going to do this and get angry and say, how dare you ask me about the record and what I'm doing? I love when people ask me. I got a list of fucking things that I'm doing and a list of things I'm going to do because it's necessary. And that's part of being a man, whether we like it or not. So salute to you and the others. Chris Ross is in the back. I'm going to bring him in. Chris Ross, I don't say it enough. I don't communicate this sentiment enough, but I got a little teary-eyed as I was reflecting before the broadcast, here we are. I'm not necessarily feeling that now. It may come up, but I appreciate you. I appreciate the others who come here in general. And the majority of that appreciation is for folks who are a part of this walk and this journey, right? Who stand for something, who want to do and be and have better. My kinsmen, right? My countrymen, if you will. So, yeah, I just want to sort of express that I am thankful and grateful and honored to be here over 1,000 days straight, 7 days a week, and to be able to commune and co-create with folks who are willing to die or go to a box to stand on their business and what's true and what's right, as opposed to the majority of the other cowards who I can't relate to because they won't admit that they're cowardly and they won't push past their fears and live in faith, trust, and equity. So I almost can't relate to them because they're delusional and denial. That was a rather drawn out sort of intro, non-intro, but do you have anything that you want to present or that you want to get into or go over specifically, or are you just kind of hanging out?
I want to say hi, but a lot of people out there in the chat too, like Lee and other ones. Much respect to everybody out there. But it's funny because it's like hearing some fat ass dude preach to go to the gym. Yeah, a lot of these people, I don't want to mention names and stuff, but you know, if more people did hands on, it'd be a different story. You know, so appreciate you always having hands on, doing it for thousands a day or days. And I'm not kissing your ass or anything. I just appreciate you and others out there that are standing with loyalty and honor rather than just so easy to sway. I don't want to sound like Snafu or any of these weirdos. Every time they come on there, somebody gets tired of their voice. So I just really wanted to say hello to you and blessings. And I'm proud of people like you and others. Don't just talk about it and do it. Appreciate it.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, it sounds silly, but we do this for ourselves because we want or understand the idea of true value and credibility. Um, you know, the days are over of saying one thing and doing something else because that just reflects poorly on me, right? So once we grow up, once we mature, once we understand that whether we like it or not, we need accountability, responsibility. The more that we can move into that unwaveringly, and surrender the rest. So, with that said, my mind's all over the place. I want to let folks know that I've officially broken the fast. I had a salad today and I almost passed out. I'm probably pre-diabetic or full diabetic. Who knows at this point? I don't go to the doctor to ever get any of these things figured out. I just kind of go on faith and whatever it's going to be, it's going to be. But, yeah, it was 31 days, maybe 30 and a half technically. No food. Today I broke it and I had some salad and I had like half a bowl of salad and some nuts and I literally I started getting lightheaded and having rushes. Like food, it really reminded me that food and everything here is really just a drug. It's like a drug. You know, we get addicted to it. When we come off it, we may detox and get sick. When we go back on it, we may overdose. Literally everything here. Once I realized how much of an addict I was and that everything for me is addiction to a degree when I went to NAAA, I guess it all started to crystallize that that's everything, right? Food, sex. You could argue addiction toward the word is what it means. Addiction toward the word. So I contend that's the best addiction here is toward the word of truth or the word of God. That's an addiction that I never get tired of. You know, I'm never sort of disappointed in or regretful of. All the rest, I guess we take it as it comes and we work with it or around it. So, yeah, just kind of, I guess, interesting to have that experience. But we'll see what that is. If it's just what happens when we go from nothing back to something, or if it's an underlying condition that I've suspected I potentially have. I suspect I have a bunch of things going on. I know I have a gallbladder problem. That thing's killing me. The stones, that probably was made worse by me fasting. But yeah, man, I got cancer and heart disease and diabetes all throughout the family. So, even more reasons to get my shit together. Because a lot of this stuff seems to be starting to show up. And it makes sense. We're at the 35-year mark, right? You can only fucking destroy and abuse your body for so long and not give it what it needs before it starts to show wear and tear. So, Lick the microphone. Why would you as a man want to come in here and tell another man to lick the phallic symbol, right? The phallus type microphone, phallus shaped microphone. It's kind of bizarre, right? Don't you think that you could find something better to do, Mr. Big Troll Gang? And I stopped smoking weed for the last couple of days too, because I got to give my lungs a break. Actually, weed seems to get me more excited. Seems that when I'm not on weed, I'm like less animated, which again, my life is always backward. Everything is opposite with me. So usually weed like mellows people out and gets them all like, yeah, man. And like that, weed gets me apparently fired up. I'm screaming and yelling and all the rest of it. So go figure that one out. God is available. Go ahead.
Sorry. Oh yeah. I just got my MRIs back, and so
You're
when I
gay?
went to
You found out you're gay?
no, yeah,
No, that's
but
Brian. No shit.
oh shit, no, but the cops beat the shit out of me, right? Because
Great.
at sentencing, they're like, Chris, you have anything that you would like to tell the courts? And they thought I was gonna say, oh, I'm sorry, and this and that. And I said, I was all, first of all, I've not had equal rights and due process. Second of all, you're depriving me of rights under color of law. And as I started reading case law, 6 deputies grabbed me, beat the shit out of me, threw me in the wall. And that's before I went and did the year term in prison. But so now my neck, so now I got to go see some special doctors and stuff for my neck. But I know what you mean about health. A lot of people think money and stuff like that. It's not, man. It's our health. And I'm proud of you for fasting that long. A lot of people, I hear other shows and I hear people talking shit. It's like, you know what? You did really good. And
you heard people saying that there's no way that I'm doing it because they're projecting onto me their loser failure-dom, right? The same thing they do with the courts, right? Why should fasting be any different than upholding rights or getting dismissals at court? They all say it's not happening. I'm lying. I'm ratting. I'm bullshit. Why would I do that? Why would I come on here and open a door with an audience where they could potentially find out that I've been lying to them? It makes no sense, right? Like my value comes from everyone checking in on me and going, yeah, he's doing what he's saying. That's it. Like, that's all I have to do in this life is be the realist and the most faithful and somewhat trustworthy, right? I'm not in the business or the game of lying, especially I don't do it at all, let alone in front of an audience who can easily somehow, some way find out what's going on, right? Did I get on the scale? Because I think I'm going to go get a scale and we'll show the results here because I was up around 2. We'll get the body cam footage that Snafu Slave said he was going to get. And I'll show you the picture of me where I was once again at my ballooniest, probably around 300 pounds, maybe more. And I'm probably now around 230 over the past 30 days of fasting. So I probably lost a good 60 to 80 pounds. And it's very simple to verify that, right? But again, I expect them to hate. I expect the loser failures to project onto me. And I expect to outcompete them in every fashion, in every venue, and make them shocked and jaw-dropped at how a lowly trailer-dwelling gorilla, salt of the earth, could somehow make it out, whatever that means, right? Whether it's the fucking lowlives in the street, the hip-hop fraud jail culture, obesity, dis-ease, lumps all over my body, legal and lawful, like, debt. It's like, this is a long game life, right? Such as everyone. So instead of hating, like I'm going to help you out now. I expect it. I don't mind it. It means you're watching and listening and paying attention. And I'm inspiring you, even if it's to hate out of jealous and envy. But I suggest other folks focus on themselves, bettering themselves in their life and doing what needs to be done, right? Don't worry about me. Don't worry about lying on me and accusing me of lying. I don't need to lie at this point. Only cowards lie. I'm not a coward. Everyone knows that at this point. I mean, there's a bitch in me like everybody else. But I try to live in trust, equity, and faith and go past the fear. So I would think if one thing is sure and 2 things for certain, you would know by my track record and history that I'm in fact not a coward when I need to be. So only a coward lies because they're afraid of the truth. I've made a busyness, if you will, out of living life on life's terms and moving into the truth. not avoiding it, not distorting it, not lying about it. Join me on Telegram, right? And there's a new permanent link. So if you want to get up here, it's going to be the same link every day, and it's in the description from now on. So it'll make it easier. Folks are having a hard time clicking the link when it's pinned or in the chat. California is throwing a human barbecue. Yummy. Well, listen, sir. I was on Ruidoso when they burned everything down, then flooded it, and then brought in a bunch of feds, and then tried to like throw everyone out of the town, and then installed 6G or whatever it is, because they only had 4G up there. And somehow or another, it was the weirdest thing, because they say Paulie Boy's paranoid, and I say, oh, this is obviously a man-made fire. They say it's not. It's wildfires. Then they say it is man-made. Then they say it's not. So that was great. And then they kick everyone out of the town after burning it all down. Then they flood it, right? It's not like this is theory to know that they can light shit on fire with direct energy weapons and cause floods, like extreme rainstorms. This has been for the last 50 years they've had this or more. So then when we came back, it was the weirdest thing, because everything was dug up and they put all these fiber optic wires down. So it's almost like don't let a crisis go to waste kind of thing. And I've heard that other places, Rahm Emanuel, Hillary, the usual suspects. So it was like impeccable timing, man, for wildfires to just catch on fire, burn a whole bunch of stuff down. And then in the meantime, for the week that they kicked everyone out to evacuate before they brought everyone back, they just started installing a whole bunch of fiber optic cables under the ground and everywhere else. It's the weirdest thing ever.
Well, also, what about like years ago, they signed a peace treaty that nobody would use weather against each other. And then also, what about not only the weather, but the way that they carry it on against us, and they want us to obey. And if we don't, like chemtrails, how are the pilots spraying that shit, not saying, oh, I've had enough? Instead they continue to. Sorry, I lost track, so I was thinking about what you're saying. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a common thing that seems to be happening right now. If you go pull up the superhighway maps, if you go pull up the smart city, plans, there's a bunch of coincidences happening. Like there's literally wildfires that are tracing the whole United States, going down and across and back up and over to Canada. And to me, it's just another non-coincidence for all the coincidence theories or theorists.
What do you think about China? Oh yeah, suppose we owe like Enron or some crazy stuff. So remember the power outages when they say, oh, we couldn't use our power this was years ago. But then they were messing around with in China, that big old tsunami or whatever. So it's pretty weird how supposedly we owed China, our enemy. That's not even our enemy. I don't even care. I don't care. I love other countries. So
no, I get what you're saying. You don't have to qualify. We're not involved in this political science endeavor, but we understand the layout of how it's put forth, right? So yeah, the nations who are supposedly our enemy own all our debt, and we're like contracting with them for all the devices around us, but they're our enemy, right? They're giving us spy devices in the form of iPhones that are putting out toxic radiation, but they're our enemy, right? Sure. I guess if you're going to play this game of who's an enemy of who, I'm guessing that United States corporation policy enforcement or policy creation are the actual enemy of the people, because who gave it to them? If China's the big bad wolf, who gave him control of everything? Oh, that's right. See, so they always do the look over there, look out there thing, while domestically they're doing terrorism, pushing their political beliefs on the individual, telling everyone they have to vote and pay tax, telling everyone statute, policy, and code is law, telling everyone you're a dumb, crazy terrorist sob sit. That's projection. That's you. See, that's how projection works. You just got to watch what they say and then realize that's them. And then they do this game. Well, if we call it to you first, then you can't call it back to us, right? We've watched Hillary and many others do this game. They're very good at it, right? They would be for a bunch of dunces, which is the majority of the public, but not to someone like me and others who can see and realize the move. So you guys are the terrorists by definition, because the CIA says when you push your political beliefs on the individual, it's terrorism. We're not doing that. I'm not telling everyone they have to do what I do. I'm asking them to leave me the fuck alone and let me have my pursuit of property and happiness and rights under God, which is my supernatural right on this land and universally. Let's get a clue on that. that it doesn't matter if we're on a common law land or any other land. You don't have a right to create corporations, put people in uniform, and rule over the individual and treat them like a fucking slave. It's called human fucking rights. Okay. And listen, now we have to swing to the other side, because the reason they're doing it is because the majority of citizens are begging them for services.
Well,
Not that that's legitimate either, right? You can't create a contract and make a marriage and then beat someone and rape them because we have a contract. So it's still illegitimate, but it doesn't help when the majority of slaves are begging them for their products and services and then crying about how it goes wrong every time. Yeah, that's government. That's how it works.
well, it's like the trustees. Like it goes to trustees and then the sheriff or the guards. And it seems like a lot of these people, it's like they know what they're doing, and they're just dictating the show as long as they can until we say, you know what, if the trustees said, hey, I'm not going to do this anymore, guards, it's like we were getting paid $15 a month in prison, working our ass off like slaves. And not only that, but when I was in the kitchen, I didn't need a food handler's card. So if I had a restaurant and you didn't have a food handler's card, or if I paid you $15 a month full time, but these courts can get away with it. You know, when you're in these prisons, they're all the plumbers, all the cooks, everybody in there is ran by the inmates. And if all these people, if you look at all these cops and everybody, if they had to get paid hourly for running the kitchen and doing all this stuff, it would be too expensive. So now if you look at it, the trustees, and they have fake guards. They're actually not police people. They come in, they have a round badge, and that is to overlook whatever, if it's a plumber, if it's a cook, whatever. And that you could pay them nothing. But yet you got 15 to 40 people or more working daily in the kitchen, plumbing, mechanics, working on people's cars, all this stuff. And not only that, but they're making license plates, doing all this stuff, making tons of money.
Yeah, they're working in trust. And that's the thing, is they reveal with these organizations that working in trust, equity, and faith is a thing. It goes on all day, every day. They would just prefer you not, right? They go, please get all of our applications and licenses and registrations and services, because we'd prefer you to not work in the private in trust, equity, and faith, while they then go and do it, right? I mean, they work in the private in untrustworthy, inequitous, bad faith, you know? So again, this is just the time that we're in, where folks are like rousing themselves and re-waking up and remembering, oh, that's right, we did have rights at one point. Oh, that's right, there is dual jurisdiction. Oh, if we're not operating in the public commercially under a certain capacity, we retain the right to contract with any other man or woman and engage in responsible acceptance of certain liabilities, right? It's like, newsflash, at some point in the past, people sold food to everyone else and there wasn't a bunch of fucking paperwork done. You just accepted the liability that if you go to a restaurant and you eat, you better make it good, because you're working in trust, equity, and faith. You're coming through, you're prepared to pay them for what they're going to give you. You're trusting they're not going to poison you, and that the guy in the back didn't just scratch his ass before he made your sandwich, right? Or you're trusting that he did, and that you have a good enough immune system to fight it off like everything else that we experience. Because newsflash, again, pretty much every restaurant's doing that to some degree. You know, that's part of the human experience. But again, in an effort to control and sanitize and sterilize and disintegrate and depopulate, because that's essentially what will go on, right? When you stop working in trust, equity, and faith, you essentially destroy the culture, the civilization, the society, right? As if getting the paperwork's going to make you drive any safer. As if getting the paperwork's going to stop McDonald's from putting absolute poison in your French fries with 15 different ingredients for potatoes and salt. You know? So guess what? It doesn't. What does is a whole bunch of individuals working together in trust, equity, and faith who try to give what they want to receive. Hey, maybe I don't scratch my ass today, even if no one's looking, because I wouldn't want that done to my food. Crazy idea, I know. Hey, maybe we won't let Ray Kroc's grandson create toxic French fries that eat you from the inside out, because I wouldn't want that, you know? And again, ask the people who push this. They don't eat it. That's your first clue. Like they say, don't trust the skinny chef. If he's not eating his own shit, we got a problem. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I forgot.
You better put that fucking weed down. That's like the third time. Guy shot out of the cannon. He's in his second childhood already. What are you, about 40 already in your second childhood like Joe Biden?
I'm almost 50, but no, I wake up early to be a slave, but I'm in appeals right now. My case is actually on the secretary or the attorney general's desk right now. You should see they violated so many things at my trial. It was 7 days of just them butchering me. They threatened me. The judge spoke out of turn. He kept trying to practice from the bench, and then I also asked, well, if the DA is my victim, can I put her on the stand because I have a few questions? And they deprived me my rights, and it's going to be a cool journey. But everyone's like, well, why did you appeal it? It's already done and done. Well, I'm appealing it to show that because it's a lot. It's like over health and safety codes, and I wasn't even supposed to do 10 days. To put somebody in prison on level 3 for that long, it just kind of made me study a lot more and just say, you know what? I want to do this because I want to be able to open jaw healings, go across county, state, and city lines, just like the Catholics could provide alcohol to and for the faithful. Well, I believe in cannabis, sacred mushrooms, DMT. I don't care if people want to do pills, drink, smoke, whatever they want to do, that's on them. But I feel that there should be an option. Well, if you go to a dispensary, now you have.
Let me ask you this. I want to ask you this real quick just to get clarification. Were you accused of trading fiat notes for that cannabis at one point? People giving you the fiat for the cannabis? Is that what they accused you of?
Yeah, but there was no proof of sales. I had no price tags on anything. It was all donation based. We always gave back to the community at trial.
Yeah, but you know, sir, you know as well as I do that if any kind of non-money changed hands, you got confidential informants who are going to go in there, and you know the game, bro. They don't need to put anything on record. They got 2 or 3 people who came in and took a gift from you and gave a gift back, and they called it whatever they wanted to call it, because at the end of the day, fiat notes were exchanged for that cannabis, according to them. I'm not saying whether it did or it didn't. We don't even have to answer that. My point is that's a big part of their claim. Well, if they catch you trading in their legal tender, which is non-currency, their instruments they created for something they've deemed to be illegal, they're going to want to take that back in blood, right? So for anyone else out there, if you're going to do a gift by gift situation, let it be that, you know, like this is why you work in trust, equity, and faith, because we in this society have learned to not trust anyone. So you have to, like, when I walk in somewhere, they go, give it to me right now. What are you going to rob the place? Back in the day, if you didn't have nothing on you or just in the course of business, you ran a tab, right? Every New Yorker, everybody back in the day knows you go to the bodega, you run a tab, because life is lived on the edge at times, hustling, move to move. So run me a tab, give me the sandwich for 10. I'll be back later because I got 3 moves to make and we'll figure it out then. You know, so I'm not encouraging anybody to do any of this, but ultimately it's like just work with people in trust, equity, and faith and don't require anything at the time. And then it makes it, you know, a little bit harder to substantiate that you're giving this for this, right? It's like, here you go, take this. You know, if we're in abundance, there should be no reason that I can't give somebody whatever amount of cannabis and then just walk off and know that over the next week or 2 weeks or whatever, we're going to deal in trust, equity, and faith. I'm going to do for you, you're going to do for me. You know, it's the requiring something right there and then using the fiat notes that's going to get them uppity, because they're going to consider that business.
Well, even
if they're going to consider that a contract.
Well, even if you didn't have money or it wasn't like that. And then they told me if I was Native Indian that I could do it, because if you go to Bishop right here in Northern California, the Native Indians have it right on the freeway, right there, tax free.
What is their distinction between you as an American national and the Native Americans? How are they claiming they can do it and you can't, when you're both men on the land and apparently not on record as U.S. corporate citizens, right? You're not on record as that. You didn't contract with them. They're just not trying to hear it. They think once a citizen, always a citizen. You owe allegiance to the corporation. What's the deal?
Right, and that's why we're at court. And then we also, because I put in a fee schedule. At first, you know, everyone's like, I started exercising our fee schedule, you know, as a state, you know, as an, you know, land on this, being on the land and soil. So next thing you know, even the appeals attorney went through my case and even put in there, Chris has an outstanding invoice for 290 million and it's with interest. Even the appeals attorney went through my case and saw all the documents that I have filed, and a lot of them they just they flushed under the, you know. But then when I brought it to the appeals attention, it shows that whatever they did is so illegal and so unlawful as well.
Yeah.
You know, and I'd ask for, where's the victim? You know, I would like to, if you have a victim, I would like to ask the victim some
Well, that's
questions.
you. That's
Right.
you. They created the victim while keeping everyone safe. Yeah, man. I mean, this is part of upholding rights and practicing law. Is it doesn't always quote unquote go your way, but then again, it's what you do with it. You know, it's not getting knocked down; it's how you get back up and move forward. So, you know, for whatever reason, I don't want to say what'll never happen, but I've just had really either good luck or been really blessed in the sense of I keep it short and sweet and simple. I don't overload them with paperwork and I don't cop to anything, and they can't get me in jurisdiction, it seems. Because if they could, they would. And there's no way they keep letting me out and dismissing these cases when I had warrants at one point. The cops couldn't even believe it. So I'm like, half of me goes, man, God is good. The other half of me goes, what are they setting me up for long term? Because it's almost miraculous how these cases and these things have just gone away or just been dismissed. So much so it not only shocks the shit out of Slow State and the other haters, but it kind of surprises me as well. You know, so yeah, I don't know what you're doing and not doing, and I don't presume that I'm doing something you're not, right? Or you're doing something that's incorrect. It could just be that certain places, certain times, they're not going for it. You know, but I haven't had that experience. I think I want to believe, and the facts have shown, the experience has shown that if you stand with the proper status and you make it clear who and what you are, what you're not, and you don't argue with them or play into the court proceedings, they have nowhere to go with it. You have to turn state's evidence on yourself. Nobody can even present. If they try to present, it's secondhand hearsay, which is not admissible at court. That goes for any prosecutor and any administrator. And as we know, the administrator cannot move the court because the administrator is a third party impartial referee. He's there to make a determination on the facts of the matter of law. He's not there to move a court to prosecute a man or a woman with code. Now, does that stop Fleischman, as they like to call him, and all the rest of the ones we see on here? No, absolutely not. They're pimping and hoeing, and they're going to do what they can get away with. You didn't sign any of those papers. You didn't sign any papers. You didn't make bond with them orally. You didn't make any agreements with them. I'm asking you.
No, I also didn't. They put me for 4 months with no bail because I wouldn't see a psych because I wanted to not represent myself but stand in for myself. And so I didn't want to see any doctor. So for 4 months, they kept me in some crazy ass area. And next thing you know,
where was this at again?
In Riverside,
California.
Yep, Southern California.
Yeah,
And,
bro. I mean, this is another reason why, you know.
I never signed for no public defender or anything. That's why I went to the psych evaluation 4 months later to show that I am competent. And they said I was competent. So when I went on the stand,
you know where I stand on that. I don't necessarily agree with wanting to be deemed competent. If they deem you competent, it means you understand their charges and that you understand the legalese and legal system. I'm totally not competent with,
I had no bail.
With legality, and I don't need to be, because every court on the land, by definition, is a court of record. That means it proceeds under the common law. That's their rules, not mine. So again, we have dual jurisdiction. I tell them outright, I'm not competent in legalese. You see me right now. I smell like reefer. We all know it. Let's not bullshit ourselves here. They can smell it. I know they can. I've been enough places enough times and they've told me. So I just go the other way, right? We're back to the idiot idea. I'm outside of your society. Call me idiotic if you want. I am not competent in legalese. What I am is able to uphold the law and exercise rights and understand my connection to God. And that's all I need. Again, I just have to be the realist, the most trustworthy, and the most faithful. I don't have to know anything about their system. The more I know, the more they can fuck me with it. It's common, uncommon sense.
they let me out with a warrant from Arizona because in Arizona I didn't have no cannabis. It was just in my blood. I went to trial. It was a hung jury, and then all of a sudden,
How many inches were they?
What's that?
Jerry, all right, move forward. I'm being gay. Like
No,
Brian O'Shea's got me acting really gay lately because he's been really gay over there, and I don't know. It's just something in the water. Go ahead.
Oh, and then so I was in prison, and before I even went to trial, they should have told me I had a warrant and all this, but they all coerced together, even my counselors, because before they put you on different levels, they have to make sure you have no warrants or none of that stuff. Well, they let me out with a warrant. No driver. No, I don't care about the driver's license, but they know that I couldn't register my automobile, so it's gonna open another case if I travel up and down the street with no license, no registration.
Why
no
do you want to be
insurance.
on California anyway, man? I get it's great weather, but they're, it's everywhere now at this point. But it's like, dude, California's like, first and last stop for tyranny and beta males and inauthentic corporate males and running the legal society as the law. I mean, and again, it's pretty much everywhere to some degree. But that's why I'm not like, listen, man, I'm going to be on Southern Oregon potentially. We're going this weekend. And I'd love to live on California. I love everything about it except for the douchebaggy people and the pushing legality completely as law and just a complete tyranny and corruption. I mean, they're now bringing it to Oregon, right? Just like they did to Washington. Oh, nothing over 5 rounds or 10 rounds. And then there's a whole bunch of counties going, we're not going to uphold that. So if you're going to be on California, you better find yourself a sanctuary town that's literally recodified the constitution of that state and put it on wax, because that's what they did on Oregon. Klamath County, Jefferson, a whole bunch of other counties have said they just put it on record with a code. It's not even a code. They just quoted the Constitution of Oregon and said, we will not enforce any of this because you have a right to bear arms. And there's no contingency. There's no qualification on that, right? It is whatever they have, we have. That's it. That's all we need to know. So, bro, I wouldn't touch California with a 10-foot pole. When I go to Oregon, I don't go through California because I'm just not going to make it easy for them to slave me up because I got more than 5 rounds on me. Now, if we have to go, I have a few people, who I know who've dealt with it where they let them go because they told them, listen, I got a gun and I'm going to keep packing a gun and you're not going to tell me anything about it. That doesn't always go, right? It doesn't always work because part of them doesn't want to give up the power and the control. And we've had a movement over the past 4 or 5 years, synchronistic to Slavid-19, where people have started to wake up and realize, no, we have rights. No, God's a real thing. We're in a universe here. There's something taking place and we better get in alignment with it or we're fucked. So they already know what time it is. And they just don't want to let go of that false power. And it's not going to matter because people like you and people like me, you can't get us to stop this. We are addicts. Again, addiction is either toward a drug or a toxin or toward the word. I'm so addicted to law at this point and rights, I can't get it out of my blood. It's beyond heroin. There's no stopping this. And there's like a list of folks who hear the sound of my voice who are going to resonate with that. And they're going to walk into this and already have and proven the concepts as well. So you could argue on some level, their game is already done and over. On some level, and I believe that's why it's coinciding with Agenda 2030 and the rest of it. We're in the snow globe, and it's playing out like a historical movie. And you're going to get this, and then this, and then this, and then this, and it's going to ask you to deal with it, right? That's where we're at. So the slave, it's going to come. It's going to wake us all, remind us all what we need to do and be. We're going to have to deal with the tests and challenges and do the sacrifice, or we're going to become the sacrifice. We know that. They already showed us that. They put your grandma in a dog box and gave her the vaccine. So it's over, man. No one's going to anymore say Paulie's paranoid. He's a theorist, all the rest. No, you all saw it. You all witnessed it. You saw him put the 5G towers up to make everybody sick, then give them the shots to kill them. You saw him putting ventilators and down their throat. Right? You saw him telling everybody, oh, it's a mandate. It's a mandate. Well, a mandate's a request under Roman civil law. Always has been, always will be. They didn't listen to that. They thought mandate meant you have to do this or else. No, that's extortion under your code. You can't tell us do this or else for our own safety. Especially when no one's a direct threat to the public. They obfuscated. They completely did corporate takeover And now we know where it's going, right? So there's only one way out of this. You guys are going to have to stand. You're going to have to go to a box above ground or underground potentially in order to get through this and exercise faith over fear. If you cop to the fear and you let it run your life, they're going to bitch you up and down this place, and you're going to wish you weren't even alive. Is where we're at and where we're going to. And just acting like we're back to normal and nothing else is going to happen is a fool's errand. It just is. You know, this thing ain't leaving. It's in the room with us now, and it ain't leaving. This is pure prison psychology. You could go to the lowest level of sociology and psychology and understand how this works. Once they're in the cell with you and they gave you the bitch test and you all bent over, they're going to slip a finger in now, and next thing you know, they're coming from the hip with it. That's the psychology of predator and prey, whether you want to accept it or not. They tested everybody. They took your temperature. You's all fucking folded, right? They have some respect. It's like we're back on the block. Hey, bro, listen, I don't want no problems with all of you, but just understand this. You are not going to slave me throughout this time. I'm going to do my time with some level of dignity and respect. Will I be good-natured and reasonable and sensible? Yes. I'm not going to walk around like a tough guy. I'm going to stay to myself and do my time. If you try to come in here and bitch test me and try to take something from me, including my manhood and my rights in here, you know what's going to happen. We're going to have to get into it some way, somehow. And just being willing to do that oftentimes keeps them off your back. They say, we got a list of bitch-ass motherfuckers here who we can slide right in and get whatever we want. Why would we tangle with Paulie Boy? He's a pretty big guy. He's got some fire in him. He's pretty coordinated. You know,
I was on level 3. That shit was, man, I seen on level 3, that stuff was crazy. Like seeing some crazy stuff, you know, some of those, you know, but the thing is if you look at I don't know if it's like, I'm sure it's higher than the Rothschilds, but if you look at the Rothschilds buying the Catholic Church, and then not only them buying the Catholic Church, then they bought the medical. And then after they bought the medical, or, you know, then they bought the banks prior to this and stuff. But the thing is it's all designed for us to get sick, for them to continue to, people get prescription pills. I remember looking at my grandma and she would have like a bunch of pills. I'm like, Grandma, why are you even taking that stuff? And it's like, because the doctor said. And it's pretty crazy how the FDA and all these people say, hey, red dyes, blue dyes, all this shit could go in your food. But yet here, cannabis, sacred mushrooms. But hey, right now, there's some Freemasons that are running a couple of these liquor stores up here, right? They're selling mushroom candy bars. They're selling cannabis right off the shelves. But if I try doing that shit, they're going to put somebody in prison. But it's pretty crazy. It's discrimination, a lot of stuff. I feel I want to do it so others can enjoy the sacred plants. And people don't have to go down the jaw healing way, because I'm just trying to lay a foundation for others to be able to enjoy and reap that reward, for mom and pop businesses to thrive, for hemp to be able to be our varnishing oils, our omegas, our houses. If you go to, you know, Lowe's and you go to these places, it all has Roundup and it has Miracle Grow and all this stuff that's killing us. When jaw healing was open, we didn't just have cannabis. We had huckleberry syrup, elderberry syrup. We had jams. We had soaps. We tried to provide something more than just cannabis. We had education. I didn't know shit, and I don't know shit. So I would have.
Well, Chris, why don't you just go get all the licenses and registration and pay them a bunch of money so they can give you permission to do what you have a right to do under God? Why do you make it so hard on yourself? That's what they'll say. They don't understand that this is what activism is. Literally from the beginning of time, including the Christ of being in scripture, if you wanted things to get better, you had to be willing to go to jail to get it done. And then at some point, they get tired of locking everyone up and everyone doing the same thing over and over. And they just go, you know what? Just leave them alone and let them do what they want. We're back to now dealing with your parents as a child. No one else did that. Everyone else just listened to their parents, did whatever they were told, sucked up to the teachers, wanted to climb the corporate ladder. I never listened to anybody, and it was a detriment to me and a benefit to me. Again, I'm not claiming you should do that all the time, right? That could be a fool's errand as well. But I was somebody who I never listened based on the idea of authority. I always did what I wanted to do to find out what my way was in life. And I contend that's the proper way to live. We're not here to be born to do what everyone else tells us to do. Then there's no point in us being here if we have to live on everyone else's terms, rather than on life's terms, right? We're not going to live life on life's terms. We're going to live life on some group's terms or some other man's terms. What's the point of me even incarnating at that point? And they know that, right? They know that. They just, again, it's so hard to let go of the idea of false power and illegitimate value and revenue generation, right? When you get that power rush and you see that money coming in, it's almost impossible to put that aside to do what's true and what's right, you know, for these people. But again, you can't stop an idea whose time has come. You know, there's just certain people here who are not going away, and they've given their life over to doing certain things a certain way. And we are going to have our way out here. We already have, you know, to a certain degree, to use some Masonic lingo, you know, and it's got to be that way, right? These people don't want to admit it, but they know Paulie Boy and the others got to get locked up, got to get dismissals, got to sue them, got to remind them what God is: trust, equity, and faith, power to the people. You know, this is a republic, as they like to say. All power retains with the people. All supposed government is corporation that's there to serve the people. Without the people, you don't exist. And you're not going to criminalize the individual with millions of codes and get away with it. Not on my watch, as a servant of God and the truth. You know,
sorry. See, I was involved with these people, right? And they said, you would do it my way, or you can do it your religious way, which good luck, because we say what comes in this town and what goes out of this town. And I said, well, you know, I really don't like what you're offering me, because they asked me to do some things and I told them no. And so I felt, you know, I told one of my friends, what's that?
What does that mean? They asked you to do some things.
I'll tell you on the side, but I don't really want to talk about over this. But they asked me to do some.
So they're asking you to do activity that is unethical,
right,
or immoral.
Right. So that's when I came up with the Cannabis Templars, or the Entheogenic Templars, because I wanted to have something where it was to protect it. And when I went to court, William Tyndale, I kept saying, do I just plead right here, just leave and just sign for my little probation? What do I do? And he's like, I wouldn't ask you mentally, you know, like spiritually. It says, I wouldn't ask you to do something I wouldn't do. And I was like, oh, and he was willing to put his life on it. So that's why I fought for it, you know, and I felt this in my blood. But that's why I came up with the Entheogenic and Cannabis Templars. And I got threatened for many years.
When did you come up with that, bro? Because this is where I say you guys are testing the waters. Because you want to go and appropriate their symbolism and their sort of, you know, or another being's or group's symbolism. And, you know, it's aren't the Masons, in a sense, or a group of the Masons, historically at war with certain aspects of the Templars in the sense of, or in competition? I mean, why would you invoke that?
Well, so the Templars started off as good, but if you really look deep into it, King Solomon's temple was Masons. A lot of stuff started until the Prince of France owed the Masons a lot of money, and that's when Friday the 13th came, and he burnt the Pope went and knew where all the Freemasons' secret stuff was. So he went and took all that and owed the Masons. So that's why they burnt him at the cross. But the Knights Templar, if you look at a lot of the signs, even the Nazi signs, a lot of them were very meaningful back then until they were kidnapped. You see, so I felt like I wanted to have something that protected the culture. I'm not saying my culture. I'm saying I mean my culture, but I'm not saying my culture has to be everybody's culture. And so what I believe in is when I was sitting at these tables with these people and we were discussing these things, I felt like it was just all bad. And then finally I said, you know what? I want to come up with something where it speaks and protects the truth. And so I came up with this, and it's been a mission, but it's honor to be able to carry it and know that I was willing and willing to die, you know, for what I believe in. So anyone else out there, instead of if they ever feel like they're gonna just give up on their dream or whatever, just know it's almost like those little memes. One guy's digging and he's almost there and he gives up, and the other guy's digging and just like a little bit more, there's the fruits. So a lot of people intend to stop right before that fruit. You know, Paul, there is many before you and I. And look at, we have different callings. You know, I have a cannabis calling, you have a freedom calling, different, or not just cannabis, but whatever my
Yeah,
calling
but
is.
it's the same thing, man. I mean, every time I get arrested, usually, you know, there's cannabis or something else involved, and it's all the same idea, right? I'm free to be and do as I wish if I'm not causing loss, injury, and harm. You're making a victim out of me and others to try to supposedly keep us all safe. There's no logic to that, right? So we're out. It's just like with the toxic parentage. You know, I've been out since day one. If you're telling me, you're threatening me to do what you want and there's an or else behind it, just forget it. I'm already out because you already showed me you're not a trustworthy leader. You're tyrannical, right? You can't. The reason people trust me on some level, because I've never given them an or else, right? I've never told them do this or else. That's how you lose trust and respect. That's how most parents lose trust and respect with their children. They literally try to tell them, they claim it's for safety. They say, do this or else. What's the or else? We're going to make you unsafe. You're claiming you're trying to tell me what to do to be like you or do what you say for safety. And if I don't, you're going to harm me. I'm out already because you already told me and showed me you're not really in this for what you say you are. You're in this for control and authority, right? And you want to see me as part of your property. And I'm not. Once I get to the age of reason and my moral compass is activated and I have conscience connected to the Most High, no man or woman gets to tell me what the fuck to do here. That's where the parentage contract is broken indirectly. And they never could understand that. I was 12 years old telling them, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing it that way. And they go, you're oppositional defiant disorder. You're this, you're that. No, I just don't want to be ruled over. My spirit hasn't been broken like the rest of you. And a human spirit cries out to be free and to be loved. Right. And since I didn't have any love in me and I didn't feel love from others, I was damn sure on a path to be oppositional and defiant, to do what I want to do, because I didn't see it. I didn't feel the love. I didn't know what other people were talking about. And I had to come to find out later what true real love is versus what they all like to talk about and pass off as that fake half-ass shit, where they'll all leave all their trust, equity, and faith and principles and values behind to save their own ass. That ain't true love and care at all. So it's no wonder why I never could understand love and thought I was autistic and crazy. And maybe there's something to be said for that, right? I was broken from the outset by not having a mama in my life. But then I had to realize, what do these people all say or not say? Because most of them didn't ever say it. And they damn sure didn't show it. What did they say or what did they show? Slavery and genocide, cowardice, statism, fascism, Babylonian lack of conscience. Throwing their own fucking children to be injected with drugs, to be put on medications, to be called crazy because they dare not follow the authoritarian regime. Literally a mini Holocaust we've all grown up in, especially my generation. I'm not victiming. You know how many of my friends were put on drugs because they were animated and could see and were willing to do their own thing and not cop to the fucking system. Put on Ritalin. I was put on all of it at one point. And I would never take it because intuitionally I knew it was bad and wrong. And they would try to push it on me every day at school. Paul, you didn't take your Adderall and Ritalin today. You're not a normal person, they would tell me, because you didn't take your drugs today. Well, from 12 years old on, hearing that all day, every day when I didn't take it, eventually in my mind, see, this is how the devil gets you. I thought that taking drugs is part of what makes everyone normal here when you're crazy. And they gaslit me to think I was crazy. So by the time I got to 17, 18, 19, I started using street drugs, which led to heroin because they already implanted in my brain that none of us are normal because we can see and won't go along with the slavery. So we must need drugs to fix us. I didn't realize till later they set me up for that. I thought I was rebelling from their whole system, going to counterculture, and it was the same force on both sides, pulling me from one, pushing me from one, pulling me to the other. What you would call Shaitan, the deceiver, right? And I'm thankful and grateful for those experiences because now I realize when you can see and you can walk it and talk it, and you got a will from God, and you're defiant against these Babylonian, worldly, wannabe, power-hungry leader scum. They're going to identify you as something. They're going to stick a label on you. They're going to try to call you something and then try to put you on something to try to dissuade you from activating that force and expressing that consciousness and that beingness because they know you're bringing light into their fucking world of darkness. and they'd rather reign in hell than to have a kingdom of heaven for all of us. So I had to realize that, and I'm thankful and grateful now, because that is my power. What was once a complete alienation, disintegration, disempowerment is now my truest power. Does it get in the way at times? Potentially. If you ask these other folks, yeah, because I'm willing to detach from anybody and anything, including my own feelings, to do the next right thing. So oftentimes people perceive me as someone who can't be loved, because I'll drop you like a hot potato to do what's true and what's right. I had to do that growing up with my friends, family, my teachers. I had to cultivate that skill, going my own way, right? After a certain point, not letting them gaslight me, not letting them label me, not trying to take their drugs to fix me, because there was nothing wrong with me. There's something wrong with them and their fucked up society and how they push this crap on everybody without listening and trying to understand who and what everybody is and what the fuck we're doing here. It's clear as day now that God formed me like where's Gizzard at? He loves that quote. Jeremiah 1:5. It's clear to this day that what's in that scripture is true for me. I was formed in the belly to be a prophet, whether I realized it or not, to later on do this work in upholding rights and freedom and legal lawful at court. God's had my back this whole time. I didn't have my own back because they didn't have my back, but it had to be that way. They had to wake me up through suffering and pain to the darkness of this world to find the light within me, to reconcile.
Well, that's like the mushroom, like Alice in Wonderland. One side will make you smaller, one side will make you taller. That's almost like life. You know, the beating us down will really make us. You know, the Mayflower Union killed my dad because he didn't believe in all the weird ass taxes. Because back in the 60s, well, back then it was a mafia. You know, a lot of mafia back then. They got like the Santa Fe mafia, and if you don't do what they say, they come after you. But that's what killed my dad. And also, like my son, they would try to give him like all these pills, and I'm sitting there thinking, whatever person wants to prescribe people pills and stuff at a young age, that's nuts. Like you're talking.
One pill makes you taller, and one pill gets you boosted. And the vaccine mama's taken. I don't even know what am I talking about. I'm in a fairly good mood tonight, man. Can't deny that. Fairly jovial. All right, we got to get to some audience engagement here, man. We're just yakking and yakking. Questions, comments, concerns from the rabble, from the peanut gallery. USA used to have an anti-Mason political party. Yeah, USA or America used to have anti-everything slavery and genocide till everybody bent over and cucked the fuck up for benefits and privileges or to avoid consequences. All right, I'm going to throw the link again. We're going to go to... what are we going to go to? Let's do some breaking slave news, man. It's been a while. For the breaking slave news. Let's get it out of the way. Russia, Ukraine, Kiev troops captured 2 North Korean soldiers in fierce fighting. So we're extending the World War III, in case you were wondering. By the way, we could pull up it doesn't make me a genius. I can just look and see. I'm not claiming, but we'll pull up the intro from over 2 years ago. We can go to my Facebook from over 10 years ago, where we were forecasting, many of us, World War III and even naming the players. So it's not hard to figure out what's going to play out here, right? And then you can decide who or what's doing it. Right? Are we doing it? Is a little bit of both? Neither. Are we doing it with the they? Are they doing it and we're just going along? Are we manifesting it from the inside out? But yeah, big surprise. Russia, North Korea, Iran on the periphery. If we really get this going over the next 5 years, we can extend this World War III to all these axis of evil, and the rap, right? The Allies' axis of evil. We can really drive all these countries / corporations deep into fucking debt, and then we can save them with the cryptocurrency system, right? It's just we're looping. If you didn't know, Dr. Loop, line 1. All right, let's go to it. Let's hear it and see it's false flag season.
Renewed war efforts. Russia and Ukraine launching more missiles and drones.
When Putin invaded Ukraine, he thought he'd conquer Kyiv in a matter of days. The truth is, since that war began, I'm the only one that stood in the center of Kyiv, not him.
The U.S. placing new sanctions on Russian oil Friday, and new insight into enemies, with Kyiv capturing 2 North Korean soldiers. This man says he was told he was on a training exercise. South Korea saying the northern troops in Ukraine are
How
suffering.
many times have we heard that one where some dupe gets found somewhere like Timothy McVeigh? They go, hey, Timothy, you're going to work for the government. Just take this fake bomb into that building. And then we're running a drill, right? And then like they get the tapes of him that are still out there talking to the guy going, yeah, Timmy, you're helping us out. Just walk this. This is a fake bomb. We're going to give it to you. We're doing a drill. Just walk it in there, man. He walks it in. They blow the fucking thing up and then go, McVeigh did it. Right. And then he's sitting there going, I thought I was part of a training mission to help out the supposed government corporation. Right. And joke's on you. So, yeah, it's false flag season. They're going to get Marinus van der Loo and bomb the Reichstag and throw him out front naked and say, look, the Polish did it so we can take over Poland. Hello. That's how this works. This is mainline history, folks. So they're going to do the same thing with Korean dupes. Shit, they'll get Jack Talcott out there. I shouldn't have said his name. I just indirectly promoted him. All right. Forget that. Where's my Men in Black wiper? I need my flasher for their memory. But yeah, they'll get anybody who's dumb enough to walk down to headquarters and work with some agents on the side to do some drills, walk you into some place and then bring the house down on you and say, what were you up to? That's how it works. That's how you overthrow nations. That's how you legitimize wars, false flag attacks. We know that. Some might say, I'm not saying that. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. What was that now?
Hey, Paul, isn't it trippy how you'll see Obama shake someone's hand like McAfee or somebody, and then they end up dead? Or, hey, what about that one dude that was actually killed in the, I think it was like an Iranian guy or something, but just like a couple years ago, he was killed actually in the, like, a government building in another country. It's like, what the hell, So...
That's, hey, if you're going to run an empire or you're going to run a drug business or you're going to run any kind of business that operates on force half the time or more, you got to send some messages. That's the art of keeping or retaining power. Getting or retaining power is making it known without making it known that if you don't do what you're supposed to and I bump into you, you just maybe don't exist tomorrow. That's the idea. That's a Sicilian message, as they used to call it. So, this is, this part of the game, I guess you could say. Let's finish this out.
Heavy casualties because they don't understand modern warfare. It all comes as a deadline approaches.
The escalation of the intensity of the combat is an effort by both sides to sort of position themselves for the dawn of the second Trump administration.
Donald Trump is days away from returning to the White House and has promised to end the war within 24 hours. An expert says that's not likely.
Everything we hear out of the Trump administration is basically along the lines of some kind of land for peace trade. But Vladimir Putin didn't go to war in Ukraine because he wants more land. He has a lot of land, 11 time zones worth of land.
Wait a second. But that's the thing. You guys are now passing the same narratives off when we seem to know that that's not what happened. Should I pull up the day that they marched through the capital of Russia with the Ukrainian flag, claiming that they're modern day Nazis, non-Nazis, who knows what it is, basically doing this and going, we just took over Russia. And then Putin and the rest of them didn't do anything, so they just left. Should we bring that video up? They're doing it again. They're claiming Putin is attacking everyone when they were showing up at the Capitol in Russia saying, we just took over Russia without a fight. No, they just realized that what you were trying to do to draw them out to attack them so you could claim that Putin attacked some Ukrainians. But what were you doing riding through there claiming to be taking over Russia? More false flagism. And because they didn't respond, they just left. So then when that didn't work, we went to, we covered it here. I don't remember that there's so many fucking issues to go over where they just show what it is. But some missiles or something we gotta go back in the annals of history here to find out who's fucking who. It was a family broadcast, but you know, it happens here. I go blue collar. I go low brow. We got to go back in the annals to find out who's fucking who, because it's the same thing every time, right? They do something, they blame it on them, and then it's just reported, oh, you know, Putin's taking over, he doesn't need more land, he's just going crazy. And it's like, no, you're bombing people and blaming it on him, and then you're forcing him and others to get into a fight, right? You're forcing an army to get into a fight, because that's what happens. When you do the false flag attack, everyone in the bottom ranks who's a dupe starts going, Putin, what are you doing? Why aren't we responding? They're attacking us. Are you weak? Did you go soft? What's the deal? And he may be a war master and go, no, stupid. If we attack back to these off-record non-attacks that are like non-specified, who's sending them, they're going to then stick us with the propaganda that we're attacking everyone and trying to go on campaigns. So they can get all the other nations involved in destroying us and taking us over, right? So it's almost like the only way to fight these wars is to just tape everything and just reveal it to everyone all day, every day. Like Putin should do a live broadcast where he just comes on every day and goes, they did 3 more attacks over here today. I'm not doing anything. Look at them. Look what they're doing. Because as soon as he responds to what they're doing, they just say, he's the aggressor. He's the initiator. We see that tactic on these panels, quite frankly. There's no difference between power and value dynamics in any venue, right? So they lie on you, they pick a fight, they disparage you, they demean, they devalue, and then as soon as you respond, they say, look at him, look how aggressive he is. Look how he's bullying everyone, right? It's the same fucking power game. So, yeah, they're going to do it to a whole bunch of nations, just like they did it with them 2 Koreans. The guy's out with a paper. I just thought I was doing a training mission. And they're like, no, we're doing false flag and we're using you to do it.
Years of sanctions. Simon Miles says the new American ones will help hurt Russia, but the economy and armed forces, especially with even poor foreign help, won't break soon.
There's really very little that Vladimir Putin has to gain by going to the bargaining table.
Miles says neither side could exploit a breakthrough right now. That means no real change is likely. So the war looks set to continue. Nathaniel Dove, Global News.
All right, we got a slave in chat who had to say it 3 times because he needed daddy's attention. I saw you, Taylor. It's another Taylor. What are the odds? You're gone now, by the way. I just timed you out. But Taylor, I saw you. You made sure you said it 3 times that this guy, meaning me, doesn't know what he's talking about. That's when you hit the link, you come on up here, and you give me your profound, enlightening understanding of how this all works. Somebody copy and paste the link if you can, because he's blocked now and probably can't see. It's in the description, Taylor. If you got any balls on you and you know what you're talking about, you'll get right up here and you'll point out how I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm citing mainline history. I'll pull up all the articles. I'll pull up all your mainstream media reporting all this crap. I'll pull up the mainstream media reporting that Zelensky's doing backroom deals with the Bidens and others, and they literally left a whole bunch of equipment, half these places, for everyone to bomb or to use to do war. Should we go to the Middle East where they pulled out and left all the equipment? It was a famous headline. And Donnie said, you're telling me it was cheaper to leave millions, tens of millions of equipment rather than just load it on a C-130 and take it one country over to where we have a base? That doesn't make any sense. It makes sense if you realize they're funding the supposed terrorists. Back to ISIS, back to Hillary saying there's a good Taliban, bad Taliban. Don't ask what's the difference does it make, who we're working with. Right. Because we know what they're doing. You know, we don't have to know what they're doing to know what they're doing, because it's been the same thing from the beginning of time. It's always backroom deals. It's always overthrows of other nations. It's always war expansionism campaigns. It's always putting the public as much in debt as they can and then using their indebtedness to write up codes to slave them and get more of their property and rights. This is government from the beginning of time, you dunces. Don't you get what you're in here? Don't you get there's no leaving it? There's no love it or leave it either. These people are all love it or leave it. And it's like, no, we're going to do what's true and what's right regardless of the outcome. That's what we're here to do. That's the making of a man or a woman. That's actualization and realization as a human incarnate. Anything less than that is a waste of a trip here. There's no point in you even being alive.
Well,
oddly enough, the word alive means not live. So most people are, in fact, technically alive. They're not living fully or truly. They're just ghosts You know, like what do the Chinese call him? The Guai Lo, the white ghost who just goes through life. Ironic because they're the same way as a culture at this point, but everyone's becoming that in the whole world in the hands of the Dark One. Just a bunch of disembodied ghosts and spirits. Even the legal language all says summon to appear. You know, who's summoned to appear? Well, all the white ghosts who aren't living truly and have like literally rejected their incarnation here and their conscience to just be, to just exist without actually living. So this is the Walking Dead. We're already here. The zombie apocalypse is already taken place. Get a good look around at what we're dealing with. Go ahead, Christopher.
Sorry. And if you look at like because you know, I don't have cable and stuff, so for years. But when I did have it, I watched Alex Tremo. That was crazy, bro. That was like Faces of Death, but that was nuts. Right on your regular TV, Alex Tremo. But so I watched YouTube.
Yeah, that's what woke a lot of us up, right? Like the story of the Buddha. They say the Buddha, there was prophesied the Buddha would become a man of enlightenment, upholding universal law once he saw his first murder or death. So they tried to keep it from him. Then he saw it, and the rest is history. It's the same for all of us. A lot of us who grew up at this time. We grew up on some level with those videos, watching people getting their faces peeled back, watching them be tortured, contemplating on death, having to go past death in our fear to realize that this is part of what happens in this world. You can't escape it. You got to move through it. You know, there's a lot of other folks, I guess, who lived a sheltered existence. They didn't have access to that, or they didn't watch that because they were told it's going to scar your mind, like all the beta males and females tell you. Oh, looking at the reality of life's going to scar your mind. Just live in an alternate universe where you're not aligned with the truth to cope.
I grew up by TJ when in the 80s and 90s. That was nuts. But I was watching YouTube. But if you look at Putin's and some of these presidents from Dubai or princes, man, they got some. I mean, look at their cars and Putin's watches. He has more of a watch than some of his people make a whole year. It's very weird how, and these people's houses are fucking huge and nobody even lives in them. I'm just sitting there thinking, what the? It's just backwards, really backwards.
Slayers love to be mocked and humiliated and just fucking, you know. That's the interesting thing is when we come here and I actually, from a loving, somewhat caring space about the truth, if not for the individual, go, hey, you're a bunch of fucking slaves, get your act together. They go, how dare you, Paulie boy? But you got no problem, Donnie, hopping off gold-plated jets with hookers, you know, spending up your whole salary at the bar, eating, you know, just going down to Puerto Rico, throwing paper towels at the half Mexicans, whatever Puerto Ricans are. You know how white people are. I'm not white, but I'm just talking from their perspective, right? They think everybody's Mexican. So Donnie went down to Puerto Rico with half Mexicans and threw paper towels at everyone. And they go, this is great. We love it. You know, he's sucking on lobster and shrimp, throwing paper towels, you know, hopping off gold-plated planes. You know, Joe Biden's like doing backroom deals for uranium. His son's smoking crack on live stream. And they love it. They can't get enough. They go, put it in my face, daddy. But then when I do it, they go, stop bullying us. You're supposed to be a man of the people. You're supposed to be one of us. I go, what, a pathetic, disempowered, in denial, delusional slave who won't cop to the reality? No, I'm not. I go, why is it bad when I do it, but you vote for people to just pull their dick out and put it in your face all day, every day? You know, Justin Trudeau's like going around drinking milkshakes, you know, fucking children, some might say, fucking little boys. You know, he's hanging with Joe Biden. They're sniffing children together, and they love it. They can't get enough. They go, take some more of our tax money. That's what fascinates me. They go, let me give 100,000 to the Corporation of Canada this year, just in tax, so that Justin Trudeau can ride around Biden in a 1930. And then now they're like doing bits together online. Have you seen this? There's they're doing Jay Leno and Jerry Seinfeld riding around like comedians doing coffee. It's Joe Biden and Trudeau drinking milkshakes and riding around town while the people are going, you suck. It's like, what is that? But you're going to pay them. You're saying they suck and you say you don't like it, but you're going to pay them and do what they say. And you're going to vote for them again. because they're all the same. I mean, when are we going to figure that out? There's not a hair's breadth difference between Joe Biden and Donnie Trump, other than the bullshit political science they're going to throw at you to split you down the middle and then get you to vote based on the propaganda, right? The end still remains the same, right? Code, policy, statute running your life, paying a corporation to do genocide and slavery and war. Stop me where I'm off here, locking everyone down, Operation Warp Speed. You know the thing. Donnie's famous saying, maybe we just take the guns before we go to court. Who cares about due process? Yeah, he's a real Republican kind of guy. He's really rights, freedom, principles, spiritual, faith-based. The people who are that, like me, are not running for president. Newsflash. The people who are really living the truth have no need to go and lie and campaign and bullshit everyone to vote for them to not do what they say they're going to do. That's how life works. Oddly enough, if I ran for president, most of the slaves wouldn't vote for me because I'm not rich enough. I'm not false powerful enough. I'm not willing to suck Henry Kissinger's nutsack to be accepted. I'm not willing to do the backroom deals. I'm not willing to throw away the Constitution and God's law to do New World Order and NAFTA. But Donnie is, because he's got a special relationship with the state of Israel. Wonder why they call it the state of, like the state of California. Don't worry about that. Nothing to see here. And he's got a special relationship with the United Kingdom, where he goes over there and bows to a queen, which is the most anti-American thing you can do. And the slaves don't care. Did you guys forget history? We fought a war against those people to not be like those people. You're now all like those people, following parliamentary statute, policy, and code, and you're presidente of the corporation. That's why he's president, because it's a corporation. USC 1A defines it as that. United States Code 1A, look it up. United States is defined as a federal corporation. Your head of your corporation goes to another land we fought a war against the queen and bows to the hoe. Instead of telling her, I don't bow to women, first and foremost. Where's Donnie with all his masculinity and bravado, by the way? They say he's toxic masculine. Can't be too toxic masculine. Bowing to a bitch, to an old bitch. You shouldn't be bowing to anybody, especially a queen. Especially of a nation we fought a war against for independence, supposedly. They're not interested in any of that. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how pathetic and weak and cowardly they look voting for a corporate president to bow before a queen, to adhere to the state of Israel, Netanyahu. Fascinating name, by the way. Very apropos. Yeah, we got special relationship with all of them. You know what that's code for? We do what they tell us to do because we're bitch the fuck up to the, as you put it, the Templars, the Knights of Maltas, the Dark Masons, whoever they say, the Jesuits, if you ask Whack Hubbard, the number counter, says I'm a Jesuit. It doesn't really matter. It's all the same idea, right? There's mafiosi, they're doing corporate takeovers, and pretty much all these cowards are not willing to get their cars blown up and their children have their fingers cut off to stand on rights and freedom. So they just cuck the fuck up because we're scared they're going to take little Barron. This is what I mean. This is why back in the day, warriors didn't have families. If they did, they were kept off to the side because in the process of upholding the law and being a godly man, you're going to get tested and tried. And if you fold because they're going to take Barron and cut his fingers off, you're not really in this for the long haul. Sorry to tell you. If you'll just let the enemy take you over because they threaten something about your physical experience, you're not really in this for the right reasons in the long haul. Someone who's really about it says, listen, I don't want that to happen, but if you must, go ahead and cut his whole head off because I'm not relinquishing the law, the land, and God, trust, equity, and faith, rights, and freedom because you got my little boy. If you do any harm to him, I'm declaring war on you forever, like they said in Sandlot. Forever. Go. That's what you tell them. There's no negotiating with terrorists. They got little Barron. What are we going to do? Well, send them the message. They better cut his fucking head off and mail it back to me, and I'll try to do a funeral if I can. Because from here on out, we're going to war forever till you realize we're not accepting this. This is not acceptable. They don't do that. They just cock the fuck up. Soon as they get the word from behind the scenes. Well, you know what they're going to do if you don't sign this bill and do that and do this and do that and then lie to the people. Yeah, I know. And you never seen Donnie when he's walking. And by the way, there's 2 or 3 Donnies. They say, I can't confirm that. Just like they confirmed there's 2 or 3 Hillarys. Let's not talk about that. You ever see Donnie when he's walking out about to give a speech to the crowd and he just looks miserable and pathetic and beaten? It's because someone just told him in the back, Don, don't even get any ideas because you know what the deal is. If you don't toe the line, we're just going to have you or your family or whoever hit up. You could argue that they'll say on one side they just did that, 2 or 3 assassination attempts. I don't know if I'm buying it. You know, I'm thinking more likely staged attempts in order to build the fanfare, right? To get everybody behind it and make it seem like, you know, God's riding with Donnie, so you got to be, and it's all chosen. And yeah,
they don't miss.
if they wanted him dead, he'd be fucking dead. If history has taught us anything, as Michael Corleone said, you can kill anybody and get away with it.
And if they wanted to shoot him, they would have got him.
Of course.
You know, I mean, look.
You saw the way they did Kennedy from 3 different angles, and then said that the guy, the fucking, you know, the moron did it, the dupe did it, and he's sitting there like this. What? He's in the library reading. He's at law library reading something. They come in, grab him. We know what you were doing. What? You were shooting the president out that library window. He's like, huh?
Five different bullet places too, or whatever.
Yeah. There you go. Trump for king. U.S. Hey, man, you ain't bothering me about it. I know you guys are pathetic, cowardly slaves who ain't going to walk any kind of talk, and you're always going to rely on other men to keep you safe and to live your life for you. You're a bitch. I don't expect bitch-ass motherfuckers to wake up today, tomorrow, the next day for the last 2,000 years and do what's true and what's right. I know what you guys are going to do. The same thing you did back in the time of Jesus Cristo. Give us Barabbas. There's no difference. You do it on these panels, on these channels all day, every day. You sit as an audience member to some loser, coward, statist, fascist, Babylonian failure and play up to them and try to get benefits and privileges and act like they're the man when they ain't shit. And because you ain't shit, it all doesn't matter, right? Okay. Have at it. You like it. I love it. I get to witness the experience while doing the opposite. It's a win-win for me. I get to witness what you all do and be part of the exciting thrills and chills, beautifully ugly experience, and also realize I'm not taking part in it. So I'm out. You know, you want to go deeper in, enjoy. Let me know how that goes. Historically, it's gone great. You retards really think God is real, yet you still act this way? I don't know what that means. The presumption is that, like, God, if you want to take it from a fatherly archetype consciousness, would completely reject me or rebuke me because I'm not a perfect being. I have my flaws. I have my weaknesses. I have places where I'm not as savory as others. What's the core of my heart and my experience and what I'm doing and a part of? That's what you're judged on, right? Because if not, then everyone's in judgment. You can argue everyone is in judgment. You know, I'm not going to necessarily take the guilt-ridden, fearful approach. I think whatever God has planned for me to know and be is always going to give me the opportunity to do and be that. And if I neglect that, then I deal with the consequences and I adjust accordingly, or not, and I get the same results. So I don't know what that means, still act this way. What, you're one of these people who thinks that because God exists as a program or an experience, that I don't have genitalia, I don't have sexual wants or desires or needs, I still don't need to put food into my vessel. Just did 31 days no food, by the way, so apparently you don't. I also have a lot of fat reserves, so that's probably what's going on there. But yeah, this idea that because I have an animal body that's covered in hair that has the whims of the ways of the world, that ultimately I don't have a spirit that is divine of the vine, like a grape that attaches back to a root source of consciousness and awareness that I can embody or experience or channel, if you will, right, to obvious results and outcomes. So you can't get me to deny God at this point because it's the only thing I've had and literally has gotten me out of and into things I never could have imagined in ways I didn't think were possible. You're talking to an East Coast New Yorker, at one time atheist, that then went to agnostic, that now says, I don't know who or what God is, but I know there's something there and it's walked with me many times and I can't believe the results. It's better than anything else that I've tried, including lying, cheating, stealing, working in the streets with loser, failure, lowlives. Yeah, it's above and beyond all that. So I can't tell you who or what it is. I'll go back to the Tao, right? Because you're smarter than Lao Tzu, right? You're more conscious and aware than Lao Tzu and people like that. You're just a fucking genius. You're lighting the world on fire with intellect. So you can't know God, but you can be it or be with it. You know, and then it talks about being at harmony with all things instead of a fearful fucking coward. So even if I have to go to a box or die, I accept I'm in harmony with all things as an experience. That gives me a power to choose beyond my fear and your fear. You don't have that. So if you want to boil down the godly experience, it comes down to that one thing, among other things right there. I have a will connected to God, and I use it and get miraculous results. You've cut that off to live in and of the world, and that's why God has rejected you and so many others. See? So you don't know the experience of being embraced by the universal force. I know George Lucas and all the rest of them write whole movies and spend billions of dollars to talk about the light side and the dark side of the force because it just doesn't exist. It's all a fairy tale, right? No, you're just a duped out dunce who's had a cap put on your conscious and awareness to be able to see and experience. And it's better that way, really. For most of you, like broken-hearted dunces, if you had access to this power, you'd surely misuse it or attempt to. And then you get taught a lesson, by the way. So don't think that you can do that either. I would know. And I think I've been pretty good with it thus far. Have I been perfect? Absolutely not. Have I been obnoxious at times? Maybe borderline or completely arrogant, potentially, from some people's eyes, if not my own. Possible. But, you know, I have a passion for truth, as objective as I can get it, and relative to all selves here, because there's only one self on the highest level. On the lowest level, there's a gap in perspective, understanding, communication, awareness, application, and results. And that gap can be bridged by this experience, this practice. So the more you step out on faith, the more you trust yourself on the highest level, you know, that's where higher self, to me, it's like these are all different ways of explaining the same idea. The more you follow your heart, like they like to say, not your emotions, those can be deceptive. There's usually a beingness, a truth in the being's soul, in their spirit, in their heart, you know, their center mass that cries out to be actualized and realized. If you just do that, you're going to get a result. And you keep doing it, you're going to get a result. And then you're going to go on a walk and a journey and a path. And at some point, you're going to look back and go, oh, wow, there's something leading and guiding and protecting and revealing. And as much as it like stymies the rational and logical mind, it couldn't be any other way. You know, and that's exactly why the Tao is the way to the way. And that's why the Christ is being talked about, the way to the way. It's all the same experience. Doesn't matter if you take this guy 2,000 years before, this guy 2,000 years later, you take this guy right here 2,000 years after that. It's the same experience with the same force and generally a lot of the same ideas, you know, as far as the experience lived, right? Not submitting to worldly authorities. You can't serve two masters in and of the world versus my kingdom is not of this world. You know? The way to the way versus their way. Gibberish. That's the thing, Jason Tom. Watch how easily I show that you're gibbering and that you're powerless here. Goodbye. You're the weakest tart. Goodbye. You're timed out. See, it doesn't matter. That's the thing. You demons and gaslighters are over. You never really had complete power in my life, but on the ground power you did. That's over. Doesn't matter if you think I'm talking gibberish. I have an experience. I have results. Folks who've been here from the beginning know on some level in their heart, there's no way I could have went to court as many times as I have with the charges I have, standing just on rights and freedom and principles and spiritual faith, and be here talking now with the whole records wiped clean, without ratting, without paying nothing, without signing nothing. I can't even believe it. And that's just an aspect of it. There's 3 or 4 other venues at least where we could talk about, and it just doesn't matter. You don't have the experience. I do. Doesn't matter what you think about. I didn't ask you. And newsflash, someone who thinks the idea of trust, equity, and faith and spirituality is gibberish and nonsense, I don't want to be around you or like you. See? You're here to learn from me or with me or get gone, folks like you. That's it. That's the reality of it. There's nothing that I'm going to learn or do or be with folks like you. I have a list of them I could and I don't. So why would I change that for you? Idolatry. I don't know what that means. What if you just lie? What if? What if you just project that everybody's a lying coward like you, and that I have the record over and over again to prove who and what I am and what I'm doing and saying? What if? What if you don't have shit to prove other than that you're a cowardly slave like the majority of the rest? And I can prove it in 3 seconds. Hit the link it on up here. It's in the description if you can't click it or type it in because you can't remember past 2 or 3 lines. A lot of you slaves can't even remember more than 2 or 3 letters and numbers at once. You're so broken down and confused. So get in the description if your memory doesn't work anymore because your brain is so full of like heavy metals and toxic ideas, and the 5G is just rattling your brainstem, so you can't even cognize or process at this point. Get right in the description. Come on up here. Let me know all about me and you and our life and this experience and what's real and what's not. I'd love to hear it and see it. You won't. And when you do, you'll make a fool of yourself. We've done this over 1,000 days straight. It doesn't change. Where's the obligatory comment of am I black or an albino? Do we get that one yet today? Did we get the is he a black albino yet today? I don't think I saw that one yet, but we're due for it.
All right,
we may check out of here. What's up? You getting out of here?
Yeah, I'm gonna do some dishes and smoke some herb.
Yeah, get the hell out of here, man. You got chores to do.
Good chatting with you, brother.
All right, appreciate you.
Everybody out in the chat, respect as well. Peace.
All right. Put it to the back. Let me go over. Let me do some audience engagement interaction. Black Ginger. There it is. We got it. I'm trolling, but I like you already. You guys always make that mistake with me, right? And I get it because I tend to do the same thing in my own way. I don't troll. I just go at a truth that I know it's going to trigger, and 9 out of 10 times it does. You know, you guys are kind of doing that sometimes, but also not really, right? You're projecting onto me, is what it is. So it's potentially a mistake here. Are there any real mistakes on the highest level? But potentially a mistake with me, because you have an opportunity here with me and the others here potentially to do and be and experience certain things. To throw that away to play games with me, when most likely the majority are not in a power position in yourselves and in your own life, probably silly and foolish, but I won't begrudge you. You know, folks got to stay interested and entertained and excited some way, somehow. Double slap the screen to like, y'all. See, there you go. That's nice. Listen to me. Listen to me. I want to help you. I want to help you live the life you want to love.
Listen to me. Listen to me. I want to help you. I want to help you live the life you want to love.
If people will lead, the leaders will follow because they will have to. Potentially. If not, you're still leading. You're still empowered. You're still inspired. You're still co-creative in what's true and what's right. You're still on the right side of history. It doesn't matter who follows or not. That's the thing. Don't give me the if-then statement. You do what's true and what's right and what's empowering and inspiring because it's that. You know, let's do a little pimping. Proper instruction motivates people is the acronym, but let's take it to the lowest level, right? A man doesn't fuck because if-then. He does it because it's part of who and what he is. See? The same thing with rights, freedom, principles, spiritual faith. There isn't a reason why you do it. You do it because you do it. It's part of who and what you are and what you do. The same way that this system, much like a pimp, pimps on the hose, because when they see a hoe, the only thing that a pimp's rules are is to pimp. So when they see a good citizen slave who thinks code is law, it's time to pimp. It's what they do. You just got to do the other side of that program, right? If you're going to hoe, don't hoe for the system. Hoe for God. Walk that line. Push that P, so to speak, as they like to say. All right, let's do a little. By the way, we're 7 days a week here, so I noticed that today we've done over 10,000 views, probably a good 6,000. I'll check on the views because I'm just guessing based on what I know from the counter. But last few days, not so much, because we don't get notifications sent out here a lot of the times because they're El Shadow Bano is the technical Espanol term I've learned. So sometimes we hit, sometimes we don't. Sometime they give the notification, sometime they don't. But we're 7 days a week. So do the like, share, subscribe thing. But also remember, you may not get the notification. So you got to come looking for us over here. You know, that's what that is. You got to be like really wanting to get it. You got to be waiting out front. But that's okay. I like it that way. I kind of like it that way. That means I'm over the target. That means I'm powerful. That means I'm inspiring. That means I'm saying some things that are true that some people don't like, but they can't keep a good man down. You know, they had me shadow ban on the other channel. We just, stuck and moved right out of that. And then we found this new format, so we're back in the algorithm. And other than that, we got a pretty decent core group here. So can't keep a good man down. That's the bottom line. I'm going to show up for myself and others. I'm going to stay consistent. I'm going to do what I'm formed to do, and I'm going to surrender the rest. The only power that these folks have in the system is the power that I give them. Either reactivity or the fear of what they're going to do or have done. Okay, Governor Newsom signs order to speed up rebuilding after LA fires. So the fires aren't out. They're saying they're raging even more, but they're already signing bills to rebuild when it does go out. And I wonder what they're going to build. It's not like they have the plans for the smart city over that exact area.
And this just into our newsroom. Governor Gavin Newsom signed an executive order to help fire victims. Early this morning, Newsom agreed to suspend permitting and review requirements, making it easier to rebuild homes and businesses in the LA area. Newsom saying in part, the executive order I signed today will help cut permitting delays, an important first step in allowing our communities to recover faster and stronger. This order will also protect prices on building materials in Los Angeles County through at least January of next year. And Newsom is also taking suggestions, ordering state agencies to look for ways to streamline the rebuilding and recovery process.
Oh, they're going to streamline it, all right.
State officials provided an update on the state's response and preparedness for the fires, and CAL FIRE says they're now increasing their resources.
So as we continue to prepare into this next event we're coming forward to, we're increasing resources, as Director Ward said, to over 14,000 first responders, over 1,219 fire engines across California and our partners in the western states, including Oregon.
Okay, this guy's now doing caps. He won't stop, so I'm just going to address it. You're asking me a question that doesn't change based on the color or the culture of the person, because conscience remains the same for all human beings worldwide. I can't tell you what to do when the same system is pretty much proliferating worldwide any different than what I'm doing or others. It's called civil disobedience. It's called get in touch with whatever is inside of you that you call God, practice faith, surrender the rest. I don't see any other way that any of it's going to change on any land. So the same answer exists for you and anyone else on any land of any color and culture. I'm not interested if Carl Lentz or others are going to say, well, the common law lands have a foundation of common law, all the rest of them just run everyone by code. Okay. And if you accept that, it's going to remain the same. So I can't see, unless you want me to be one of these people who says, run for office and rewrite the code so you can have rights and freedom and principles and not be a slave. No, just stop complying. I don't know how else to tell you. If 1,000 of you folks, it really doesn't take much, believe it or not. By the way, you're also going to have to surrender the outcome, because this is where certain events happen through history where 1,000 folks go, we're not complying, and then they just massacre everyone. Are you willing to die for what's true and what's right? If not, then you're willing to live the rest of your life in slavery and be told what to do. That's the dynamic. You remember Braveheart? All you Africans, go rent Braveheart. Story about an Irish Scotsman. The king was going to fuck their wives, prima nocta, because that was part of the code. Hey, when you get married, the king has to fuck your wife to consummate before you get to fuck her. Yeah, great. So at what point does a man's ego and pride kick up and say, I'm not allowing this to happen? She doesn't want that. She's not going for that. I guess you can force all of us, but you're going to have to do it with me bleeding out on the ground. I'm not turning myself, my property, the woman I'm with, my children, my home, and everything out, not turning it all out to you to pimp on me. So let's get to it. What's the next result? What's the next interaction we're going to have here? It doesn't change, sir. From the beginning of time till the end of time. I don't care if you go to prison. I don't care if you're doing political science. When the predator gives you a do this or else, you have two options. Cuck up and be a slave for the rest of your time there, or give them what for. And no, I'm not telling people to be violent. That's the difference, right? Just like the Christ of being in scripture who said, this is not the time for the sword or physicality. This is time for the pen or for the word. And then went and took a whip out on everyone and got put on a cross. More hypocrisy, you could argue, because humans are infallible, right? We get frustrated, we get angered, we can't believe what we're witnessing, and we go, you know what? There's one way to deal with a predator. I'm going to start beating motherfuckers' asses to wake them up. I'm going to start whipping and turning over tables. That ain't the answer. They got control of the physicality here. The answer is to ride with spiritual faith, trust, and equity, and surrender the rest. That's the only thing I can tell you, because that's the only thing I do, and it's worked every time pretty much, even if in between there was some sacrifices, some consequences, some pain, some tests, and some challenges. So we're talking activism, right? Activism is the same worldwide from the beginning of time. You do what's in your heart, what's true and what's right, and you don't give a fuck about the outcome. And you let these people know as polite as possible. Listen, I'm not here to cut in on your action. I'm not here to overthrow you. I am here to actualize and realize. So as a man, I got to do what's true and what's right for me. Please don't take it personal. There's not a being on either side of this dynamic who can't fucking respect that and potentially may not give you safe passage after a certain point. You may have to really prove it to them. Just like if you had a parent and you were a child and you decided, I'm going to have a cookie every fucking day before dinner. And they say, no, you're not. If you take that cookie and we find out, we're going to put you in your room with no dinner and no toys. And after 10 times, trust me, I know. Ask my father. He used to say, you can't be trained, Paul. And I used to say to him at 12 years old, because I'm not an animal. I don't need to be trained by you or anybody else. You got the wrong. That's hoe language, by the way. What does a pimp do with a hoe? Run a train on them to turn them out, to get them to do whatever they want them to do. I can't be trained because I ain't a hoe and I ain't an animal. So, you know, X amount of times I went, got all my toys broken, got all my shit thrown at my father. You know, he was Italian. So he'll break anything, throw anything out the window, you know, take a strap to you every so often, put you in the room for the rest of the night without dinner. There's no moving me. It's not happening. Break all the toys. You paid for them anyway. I don't need them anyway. I've already played with all of them and they're fucking boring me. You know? Oh, you're going to dinner without, you're going to the room without dinner. Yeah, but you're going to go to bed at some point and I'm going to eat when you're asleep. There's always a way around it. There's always a way of, hey, even if I can't get around it, I'm not complying. I'm not doing what you tell me to do implicitly because you say so. That's free will, you know? And all the false authoritarians and all the ones who want to keep control can't fucking stand it. That's the way out. The opposite is the way in deeper. You got to decide who, what, when, why, and how. You know, where's the battle for you? Where's the hill to die on? You got to figure all that out. But the dynamics, the inherent hierarchical power and value dynamics remain the same. The solution's the same. Stop complying. Stop submitting. Stop serving the devil and false authority. Start serving yourself in the form of God, because God lives within you and walks with you. You know, start serving your own conscience. Start serving yourself in the form of actualizing and realizing and become the best you can be in this realm. If the rest of them want to go to hell with this place and light it all on fire and degrade and be disempowered and broken in spirit, well, then that's their walk. If you see and feel something different, then walk that and see where it goes. But you know, you gotta surrender the rest in faith. If you wind up in a box above or below ground, then that's what's meant to be, whether you like it or not. You know, freedom ain't free is what they used to say. Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. Where's Timmy? He likes that song. You know, freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. Freedom ain't free. You got to work it till it works. As Trump threatens Canada, there's something dangerous brewing. David Frum, something dangerous is brewing. I wonder if it's New World Order, slavery, and genocide.
Ottawa couldn't have come at a more challenging time. The government is bracing for U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's return to office, with his threats of massive tariffs and jabs at making Canada the 51st state by annexing this country using, quote, economic force. What started as social media taunts and trolling between Donald Trump, the Liberal Party, and Justin Trudeau now seems to be taking on more prominence and escalating.
Canada and the United States, that would really be something. You get
Here he
rid of that
goes.
artificially drawn line.
Here he goes.
And you take a look
Your
at
boy's doing it. Are you listening? Are all you Republicards listening? We called this out only a decade ago. Your boy now on the second term after the lockdowns, the warp speed, the pushing the vaccines, he's going to vote for him again. He's literally doing New World Order right now. He's saying, guys, it's amazing. We can unite Canada, United States, and put everyone under world government and CDC and NIH and code. Yeah, we know. And what do you think's going to be drawn up for the code that's going to run everybody on that? You think it's going to be Canada heavy, or you think they're going to free Canada? What are you thinking, guys? You thinking that if they make the US and Mexico and Canada all one thing, that they're going to go Mexico, Canada heavy on everything sandwiched in the middle? I'm thinking so. Because all the states that used to be gun and right friendly are now occupied by supposed leftists, and they're using code to do corporate takeover on the law of the land, rights, freedom, and principles. Okay? Bro, you libtards are wild. You're the tard. I'm not a liberal in the sense, maybe a classical liberal. I believe in rights, freedom, principles, spiritual faith. I uphold the law and exercise rights. You're the statist fascist tard, and you can't even see a reality outside of the dualistic reality they've given you. You think everybody who doesn't suck Trump's feet is a libtard because you're that fucking retarded. You're that low level consciousness. I'm literally someone on the ground who gets locked up for exercising rights and upholding the law regularly. I go to court. I'm as Republican gets. You wouldn't know that because you think a guy from Manhattan who was a Democrat before he ran as a Republican is an actual Republican. Trump is a centrist. Okay? You're the tard. You're the libtard. You're supporting a guy who was a Democrat who's now a centrist claiming to be a Republican. He doesn't stand for the law of the land. He doesn't support rights. He's not a spiritual faith guy. He pretends to be an evangelical because most of you middle America suburban tards buy anything, including him pushing a vaccine and locking shit down. How is he a Republican on any level? How is he rights, freedom, principles based or for the people? You guys are completely fucked, is the bottom line. So stop projecting onto everyone else who and what you are while you deny it and don't even realize the difference. You don't even know yourself, let alone who and what I am and what I'm doing.
what that looks like.
Let's do New World Order. Canada's going to unite with Mexico and U.S. It's going to be great. It's going to be amazing.
One of the ways we define ourselves most easily is, well, we're not American.
What's behind it all, and how should Canada deal with it? Joining us now is David Frum, staff writer at The Atlantic. Great to see you, David.
Love the way you lie. Thank you.
When you hear this rhetoric from Donald Trump that started online as a meme, and now it seems to be becoming an official policy that he's trying to push, or at least
it's not a meme. It didn't start online. This is a hundreds of years old plan that's been laid out by Albert Pike and others in the late 1800s. They said we're going to do 3 world wars. It was published in the newspaper. You can say it's a hoax. It's not. It was in the paper. Head of World Freemasonry said we're going to do 3 world wars, and then we're going to unite the continents under a one world governmental order. And the last 4 years was a beta test to use the NIH, CDC, and world government to regulate and to overwrite the law of the land for local governments everywhere. And it worked perfectly. And now they're bringing in smart cities and a digital currency. Get a fucking clue. I could literally tell these folks mainline history, how everything works, where it's going to go over and over again, be right. And they'll still ignore it. They'll still presuppose and superimpose their own distorted hallucinatory reality. There's no helping these people. There's no saving them. If they're your friends and family, just let them go. Go get with other people who can see and walk and talk and understand. Go get some land, grow your own crap, shield it from the chemtrails, get clean well water, do your best, uphold the law and rights, work with other people, show up at court, put it on record, get dismissals, sue them, and leave these fucking tards to burn in hell that they're creating. Because there's no helping them, there's no talking to them, there's no saving them. They don't even know what planet they're on. I think a lot of people are going to start. Yeah, we're only 2,000 years late. We're only 200 years late. Pick a timeline. Well, we think folks are going to finally start any day now when Agenda 2030 is rolling in and they're projecting hundreds of millions of casualties from some unknown event. They're already projecting it. And as if we didn't know, partially done by the vaccine. They're all dropping over dead every other week and don't know what's causing it. We're all finally going to start waking up that Trump may not be the best guy for the job. And who's the next tard you're going to support when they give him to you? Who's the next evil doer that you're going to go against? And who's the next hero you're going to support when they give you both sides? These tards still mulling over Elon and the rest of the autistic Satanists who drink Diet Coke and chug aspartame and fluoride and put 50 caliber pistols on their nightstand and take pictures on Instagram when you're so effeminate you couldn't even shoot that gun without breaking your own fucking wrist. Who are you kidding? Tards will believe anything. They think an autistic, satanistic Baphomet costume for Hollywood tard runs Space Force and is going to save everyone, named his kid XYZ123. Yeah. We may as well be taken over by aliens. They're already running this place, and you tards keep picking one after the next to run your life. Hey, maybe that alien will do what's true and what's right. Maybe that one will do what's true and what's right. That's essentially what's going on here. You got a bunch of anti-human, anti-life technocrats who are running the whole world, and you keep picking the next one that you think is going to do what's true and what's right for themselves or you. Yeah, don't hold your breath. Can't fix stupid. All right, what else do I have up here? What other little goodies do I have for the people? What other little projections and rejections, false claims, outright malicious lies? Booty bandits, huh? I got the booty bandit video up here. OG Percy. Hello. Maybe we do that tomorrow. We take a break from legal, lawful, slave news, slavery and genocide, and we go OG Percy, booty bandits, tales from a crypt, prison stories. He's rather entertaining. All right, let's go courting, non-courting, and then I'm out of here, people. He argues his way right out of a deal in court. Let's hear it. Let's see it.
Now calling case number 24S4469917. This is the state of Michigan versus Dion Stegall.
What?
Can I get
Look at this? Look at this creature. Oh, I didn't even see this before. I never check anything before I view it here. It's all on the fly in case you guys are wondering, but wow, what a creature. So right off the bat, for you folks who are new here, I'm going to help you out when you go to court, and they're going to tell you it's sob, sit, mumbo jumbo, but if you do it right, you're going to get dismissals every time like I do and a dozen other people who've come here. And many of them can barely talk. So this isn't a thing where you have to be like me with rapidity and fluidity, some kind of speaker and orator. It's pretty simple, straight to the point. If you put 2-3 lines on paper and you give them notice and shut up, there's a good chance that they're going to toss you. So rule number one, when they say, which is 99%, if not 95%, it's probably like 100% of all these cases tried by the state with no third party impartial witness or a claimant on the other side, they're always going to claim on the charging instrument that the complainant, the plaintiff, is a state of. The only problem with that is that everyone has a right to face their accuser. You remember that, right? 8th grade civics. So due to the fact that on the legal or lawful side, everyone has a right to face their accuser, they're going to have to bring in Mr. and Mrs. State of fill in the blank. When they can't produce the third party impartial witness or the claimant who must appear, that's the rules of court. Well, we got a problem, or they got a problem. I got a solution. So there's rule number one for every one of these cases. The plaintiff must appear. The defendant doesn't have to appear. The defendant can present remotely. Defendant can send someone in their stead, so to speak, a representative, if you will. Plaintiff claimant, especially when summoned or invoked, must present, must show themselves. That leaves them with quite the quandary on how to move court forward when you invoke that understanding of the rules of court, because they can never present. I don't know any Mr. and Mrs. State in New Mexico. Maybe they exist somewhere sometime, but I haven't yet had any of them take the stand. Mr. and Mrs. State of Colorado could never take the stand. Mr. and Mrs. State of Arizona can never take the stand. Mr. and Mrs. State of New Mexico can never take the stand. It's weird. Every place I've been charged, it all goes away because I invoke the idea that the plaintiff must appear or present. Nowhere to go with it. But let's continue because there'll be multiple aspects of courting that are always the same, that when you address them, there's no way out for them because they're doing a constructive fraud, some might say.
Starting with the troopers.
Yes, how you doing? Good morning, man. Trooper McNeil.
Thank you.
Morning, man. Trooper Sass.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Stiegel, can you state your name for the record, please?
Dion Stiegel. Good morning.
John, I'm not interested. That's the thing. You're going to get thrown out of here. I'm not interested in what you think, right? You think that the officer can act as the third party impartial witness when he's the arresting officer? No. The arresting officer, based on the rules of court, cannot act as also the witness and also the claimant for the state of we're not Sovsits. You're a tard who literally will not go and read U.S. code. You will not go to American jurisprudence. You will not go to Blackstone's commentary. You will not go to Bouvier's Law Dictionary. You will not do any of it. You won't even go back and watch Columbo episodes they used to air where they would show all this crap. They would literally have Columbo come in smelling like smoke, chewing on a cigar and going, yeah, where's the complainant? Where's the witness? And then just reveal all these dynamics of courting and how it works. You forgot that, or you didn't see that. You weren't there for that. Or you were there and you just missed the move because you're just El Stupido, right? You're not too fucking bright. You're not too with it. The rest of us can see and hear and feel and talk properly, and we can understand, and we've done the research, and we have the experience. I have over half a dozen cases dismissed. I'm now suing a county and a bunch of administrators, so to speak, a bunch of trustees with a handwritten claim. You're not going to tell me and others here how to move court, how to uphold the law, how to exercise rights, how to get results at court. Not the guy to do it with. So you can say we're all Sovsits. This Sovsit has results every time. This Sovsit's now playing the ghetto lottery. They're going to pay this Sovsit for interfering with his rights, dummy. So you don't know how court works. You don't understand the law. You don't know your own rights. You don't understand there's dual jurisdiction, 11th through 14th Amendment, congressional citizen. You can't move a court because you're a punk-ass bitch and probably can't talk in any venue with people watching you because you're a lying fucking coward who has no confidence and faith in your own self and the word coming straight from your heart, connected to God. That's not me. Stop gaslighting. If you keep doing it, I throw you the fuck out of here and you don't even exist. You're not going to dissuade these people from making a change in themselves and in their life and checking into the record and finding out who and what I am and why it applies to them and getting results. You ain't going to do it, scumbag. Go back to your holes with the rest of the clowns who cuck out to the state and follow all the code and never get any results and then try to make fun of people like me when they wouldn't even get in the same room as me and talk to me like they do over a fucking telephonic device. Okay? For the same reasons, because they're punk-ass fucking cowards, and I wouldn't do nothing to them other than stand right there in front of them and look them in the eye, and that'd be enough. You're not fooling anyone, see? Those of us who come from a certain world where we have to know the shot like that, we know a punk-ass, fraud-ass coward when we see one and smell one like that, just like they do in the back of the prison. You can come in and say and do whatever you want and look however you want. Within 3 seconds of interacting with you, we know a punk-ass coward when we see one and smell one. It's just that simple.
Good morning. Thank you. So today is the date and time set for an informal hearing in this matter. What I have here is a citation dated December 15th, 2024, that charges that on or about that date you operated a motor vehicle on I-94 at or near ramp 013A in excess of the speed limit. And it looks like you were written for going 16 to 20 miles per hour.
All right, John, we'll give you another opportunity. You're interfering with what I'm doing here, and I'm letting you. And that's okay. I don't mind. Right? We can always get back to the clips. If you click the link that's in the description that I'll post again in the chat, you get up here, I'll explain to you face-to-face, man-to-man, why you're wrong Until then, you're chirping in the chat and you're using Twitter fingers like you're some kind of secretary. I don't need a stenographer here. I got a dozen of them that I've already banned. I got 250 of them I blocked and banned because they keep typing and don't know what the fuck they're typing and don't have the balls to get up here and can't talk face to face. And when they do, they know what's going to happen subconsciously. I'm going to make you look like the dummy you are because you already know I'm more intelligent than you. You already know on record I have 130 IQ, and you're probably hovering around room temperature on a hot day. You're probably hovering around that 80, 90, 100 mark. That's not going to get it done, pal. And again, let's not even bring it to that. It's a little bit of ego. Let's put that away. Forget about the intelligence quotient in the mind. Let's go to the heart-based intelligence. You're a punk-ass coward in your heart. So you could have 155 fucking IQ and you still are going to choose not to see what I'm talking about, not to do the research, and definitely not to walk it. So who are you kidding? You don't think I know me and know others, so I know you? It's always the same game. It's always the same deal with you people. Anybody wondering what a stupid narcissist is here? Here's a perfect example. That's you. You're projecting that onto me. You're the coward. You don't live rightly. You don't do what's true and what's right. You don't do anything for yourself, these people or this land. Then you want to project onto me, I'm the narcissist. I'm empathic. I'm walking in wisdom and understanding. I'm inspiring a whole generation of motherfuckers to make a change. I'm a narcissist? Giving all my time, energy, attention, understanding, and experience away for free? Doing without constantly? Whether it's bathing at times, living in a tent on the land when I first started, coming on here wearing the same shirt 2-3 days in a row. You're a dummy, Nancy. You're another bitch who doesn't have a real man at home. So you call every man who acts like a real man and shows they're a real man a narcissist because that's you. It's projection. Okay? You are not a psychiatrist. You're not a psychologist. You're not a sociologist. You're not an any kind of ologist. You have little to no understanding of yourself and life, and you're going to project onto me. I don't fit the profile of a narcissist at all. I don't use anyone. I don't deceive or manipulate. I'm straightforward with everybody. I want to co-create beneficially for all of us, or I'm accepting of the selfish aspects of self at times and the understanding that others may not want to co-create with me because of that selfish aspect of me wanting to do and be whatever I want to do and be. I totally understand why people would not like that or want to be with that all the time. Okay. So you're wrong on every level. You have no proof for that. You're just calling me that to pad your insecure sense of self. That's a false self and your lack of results in your life. Nancy, I would bet anything you won't come up here because you're a coward. Coward comes in both genders. You won't come up here and talk about your non-relationship with men. You won't come up here and talk about your daddy issues. You won't come up here and talk about how you project on every strong, empowering, inspiring, entertaining man that he's beneath you because we don't want you. So you have to cope some way, somehow. Nancy, I've dealt with a ton of goofy, broken hoes and bitches like you. And you just using the throwaway pseudo-psychological line that's on every TikTok message board at this point that I'm a narcissist isn't going to work, Nancy. Come on up here so we can show that everything you say about me is actually you. See how that works? I don't even know what a narcissist is. She doesn't either. That's the thing. I'll pull up we've done this before here. I'll pull up the 10 aspects of classically, clinically what makes a narcissist, and we'll go over how many of them I fit, and we'll go over how many of them she fits. She's not going to do that, though, because she knows what's going to happen. She knows, this is how good I am at betting. If she gets up here, we're going to be able to tell by her hairstyle and voice who and what she is. See? I bet anything. We'll be able to tell just by the imagery who and what she is and how she's projecting onto me. We can almost tell just by the name, Nancy. How many Karens you think are running around there calling every empowered man who doesn't want to fuck them a narcissist? Nancy. Nancy's like the second Karen. When there's no Karens around, you go get a Nancy. Give me a break. Bye. Right. There you go. I'm a smart, wise person. among other things. And God forbid I, for the first time in my life over the past 5 years, own who and what I am, light and dark side, be confident and faithful and trustworthy in myself and in this experience and what God's given me, and also tighten up on my darker aspects or weaknesses, or at least try to direct them to work for me and others, right? That's the reality. Anytime Nancy and the other broken bitches find an empowered man who's owning their position and getting better in life and doing better and doesn't want to be with bitches like them, he's got to be a narcissist. See, you are the problem, Nancy, because you want to destroy masculinity in this realm. And you Nancys and Karens are doing a great job. That's why every beta male on these panels is effeminate, toxic, delusional, in denial, hypothetical, constantly in their feelers and metaphysics, and doing little to nothing on the ground to substantiate who and what they are and their legacy. So Nancy and all the Karens are doing a great job gaslighting, as the narcs that they are, that every strong man or that strength in masculinity is actually a weakness. And if you display it and you're confident and faithful and you can trust yourself and be trusted and you're honor able and have results, you must be a narcissist. No, that's you, Nancy, who labels anybody who's competent and capable, unlike you, something so you can demean them and devalue them. Just like a passive aggressive demon would do. I'm not looking for trouble. I'm just interested in what John is saying. John's not saying anything. Low IQ vibrational individuals bring down the level of conversation. The presumption is that the conversation has to stay at one level all the time. Not realistic. That's not how life works. You get sun, you get rain, you get snow. You get summer, you get fall, you get winter. You get day, you get night. Do I have to go on? I don't need Mac and the other gurus to tell me how to do a fucking engaging, interesting, entertaining, controversial broadcast. And I'm not going to sit up here and try to white knuckle some guru, non-guru, fake perspective where I elevate the conversation and keep it elevated all times and never experience the vicissitudes of life. Okay? Not realistic, not living in reality. You're a toxic positivist. Take it to Slackcott's room and home of bullshit, like a Waffle House. Slackcott's home of bullshit. Take it over there, your toxic positivity that doesn't amount to anything, because most of you have a hard time dealing with reality. More specifically, the darker aspects of self and reality. So, let's just be real here, real with ourselves and each other. Let's be in harmony with all things. Let's accept the light and the dark, the day and the night. All right. Let's see the truth and the lies for what they are. Stop pigeonholing me and our experiences because you can't cope. You a jackass. That's you. Man, that link is real quiet. That link's getting real cold. Like a lot of the feet of the cowards, that link is real cold. You know? All right, let's continue with the creature, and maybe John will get a thrill up his spine when he sees another slave get ruled by statute, policy, and code who doesn't know themselves or God or the law of the land.
Per hour over the speed limit, 86 and a 70. So this is a civil infraction. There are no criminal penalties associated with this, no jail time, no probation. There is, however, a fine and points. So before we get started to the troopers, was there anything that you wanted to say first?
No, man. Me?
Okay. So, Mr. Stiegel, are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you have three basic options when it comes to this ticket. Okay. You can accept responsibility. That is basically admit that you were speeding and pay the ticket. You can accept responsibility with
someone get up. If this isn't the words of a bitch, look at this is literally the dynamic in all my life. The first day of kindergarten, and this has happened all through my life. The first day of kindergarten, I had it out with five other kids at once trying to beat me up. And guess what? They couldn't do nothing with me. The dynamics have not changed all through my life. Someone get up there and hold this ape accountable. You ain't going to do it. And calling out for someone else to do it is the most bitch ass shit I've seen here today. And it's par for the course with you. You just proved you ain't going to do it because you're a punk ass bitch and you want to call out for someone to be your daddy and get it done. Not likely. but you could try.
An explanation so that the court can take into consideration any mitigating factors and potentially lessen or eliminate the fine, not the points. The court does not control the points. That is totally the Secretary of State. Finally, you can deny responsibility, that is, deny that you were speeding, at which point we will proceed to the informal hearing. I will swear in both sides, take testimony, and make a decision based on preponderance of the evidence, which is a 49% to 51% standard. Stand your options this morning.
Yes.
Okay. Which option would you like to go with?
I really just want to get the ticket less than down so I don't have any points. I clearly see, I heard you say y'all don't have nothing to do with the points.
So,
is that correct?
Correct. The court does not control the points. If the officers in charge of issuing the citation are not open to amending the citation, then the points are going to be what they are.
Okay. Well, is he willing to dumber down the ticket or something? Or
No, there's a couple of videos that I took at a Zoom court years ago. I don't know. There may be on my second phone. I never put them out because there's not much to witness. The last court case I had on New Mexico less than 3 months ago that was dismissed, they didn't do any recording there. So when I called them up, just goes to show how fraudulent these courts are. I said, could you give me the transcripts and the video for the court? They go, we don't record any of the proceedings. I said, really? You guys are holding court all day, every day without a written record or videotape of the Zoom call, the events? That's fascinating. That's literally what they told me. So as much as I'd like to put out some media to get these people's attention and to trigger them and to show how they don't know shit, and that I'm somehow in a power position because I understand that's what power position is. It's not an ego thing. It's through understanding and faith. That's the truest power, right? So I don't need that because I'm on record 10 ways to Sunday through the court records. You can go look up all the case. They don't have the transcripts or whatever. You could go look at all the cases and how they ended up and what I entered on the record. It's all there on Pacer. From Colorado to New Mexico, there was one on Arizona, but they fucked that up completely. They couldn't even move on that. So I'm sure that got thrown out because I don't have no warrants and nothing ever happened with it. So that's here, Joseph. I'm going to throw you out now because you're talking about you, and we all know who've been here for a while that's not me. So it's really embarrassing. That's all, Paul. That's Paul. Weak, pathetic, non-action, sits in mommy's trailer and live streams to a bunch of freaks. That's you, Paulie. Okay, so you're obviously on an alternate account. You're one of the loser, failure, jealous, envious haters. You're trying to get me to jump out the window and talk about more about what I've done and what I have. I'm not going to do it because I'm kind of tired of that too. And I feel like I'm subconsciously, if not consciously, annoying the core audience here who supports me and like has been down from the beginning. Like it just comes off at times as me bragging, like having to defend myself. I don't have to, but choosing to defend myself and correct the record from you and others' lies, it comes off as me defending myself and then bragging. Right. And I don't really like it. And I'm sure that even the people who are like, yeah, like pimp on them, put it in their face, they're kind of over it too. So just go somewhere else, project on someone else. It's not working here. You're completely delusional and in denial. And you're a jealous, envious hater, like so many before and so many after. So you're the one saying I'm weak while you're telling other men to get up here to handle me on panel, just like you do in any venue. Someone get over here and beat this guy's ass because I already know he's going to put it on me if I interact with him. Yeah, I know. And I'm not even that guy. I'm not Mr. going to beat people up, physicality, none of the rest of that. You know, I've had dis-ease over the past few years that I've been healing. So I'm not in a position to do any of that. And when I was at my best, I didn't do any of that anyway, because I don't believe there's true power in physicality and beating people up, you know, and doing violence or force, really. There's times where I'm curious on here because people threaten me and I'm curious to see them show up and do it. But I don't really want it. You know, that's not what I'm in this for. So you can't, the fool and the ignorant, arrogant coward cannot validate nor invalidate my walk and my results, right? So there's no point in saying anything. It doesn't go anywhere. Really, like I said, it's just a demonic campaign to get me to look like a lesser being by like seeming like I'm I'm egotistical and prideful, and then I'm braggadocious, right? But this is what happens when you're constantly in life, like being gaslit, projected onto, if you let it be. I can also choose to just not engage with you, right? Which I probably should start practicing more and more. Just ban you, not even engage with you, not even interact, because all it seeks to do is demean and devalue me for an audience who would respect me, appreciate me, walk with me, support, contribute, co-create, and then thinks twice about it when they kind of hear this rap over and over again at times. So I may start to alter that more and more. I've been reflecting.
Like, is that an option, or?
I had already asked the trooper. That was, generally speaking, that's why I asked if the trooper has anything to say before we get started, and he did not. So it sounds like he wants to keep the ticket as it is.
Yeah, that's crazy. So yeah, I like to fight it because I'm a truck driver, so I can't have any points on my ticket. I mean, any extra points on my license, ma'am. So I'm just trying to get the ticket dumber down because the whole situation was just, I feel like taken care of poorly.
Before you say anything else, let me confirm a couple things. One is, are you saying you've got a CDL?
No, I don't. I drive box trucks, so it don't require a CDL, but I have a chauffeur's license and stuff like that.
Okay.
So,
okay.
My career is driving, so I want to try to keep it as clean as possible. I'm cool with fines and all that and stuff like that, but 3 points, it's kind of crazy. Like that's crazy.
Okay. So then your options are still either accept responsibility or deny responsibility. So are you denying that you were speeding?
No, I accept that I was speeding, man, but I want to know, is there a way that we can, what's the option that I'm saying that basically I accept that I was speeding. I understand that, but I want to dumber down the ticket. I want to fight that.
Okay. Trooper McNeil.
I don't understand why it's hard to dumber down the ticket. I'm here. I'm not showing.
To clarify, so the court doesn't have discretion to just, if we go to a hearing and I find that you weren't speeding, then that's one thing. But the court does not have the discretion to just change what the charge on the ticket was without the agreement of the officer who issued the ticket. So, Trooper McNeil, did you have a response to any of this?
Yes, ma'am, I do. There was a couple other issues going on that day, as well as he does not have a clean driving record. He actually has a traffic ticket he needs to get paid off. However, I understand that problem. I'm willing to drop it down to a 2-point violation that makes him happier with it. I'm not willing to reduce it to anything with no points. So,
why is that though, sir?
Okay, they're in chat now saying if you're speeding but not directly going to cause harm to anyone, you should get a pass. Well, turns out that even in their code is written the clause for emergency and other things. The problem is that folks don't understand words and terms and don't care to. What does the word emergency mean, do you think? If you just get all the beliefs you have of what everyone's told you it is, right? You know, like those lights the cops have are emergency lights, but they keep pulling people over with them, even though their regulation says they're for emergencies, to be your first responder to a scene of an emergency. So let's go to the word. What's the first word, boys and girls? What's the core root word? Anyone in chat? Let's play along, follow along, play along. Someone in chat, give me the root word of emergency. Because again, this is where everyone is retarded in a sense, you could argue, because they just keep following what everyone else says the definitions of words are. Do you know that these definitions were made up at some point, changed from their original condition, and then everyone's accepted them and cited them, which makes you foolish because no one can tell you what you believe a word means, especially when there's root words in there that allude to certain ideas. So the word is emerge. No, not merge. Emerge. What does emerge mean? Something comes up. So technically an emergency would mean anything that comes up. So anything that comes up gives me the right to move my property around how I please. What does that mean? Well, I had no food in the fridge. So it was an emergency. Something came up, and you could argue if I didn't have that food, I might die. So due to the fact that I had an emergency, I had to move my property from point A to point B without license, registration, insurance, and plates. And it's going to get thrown out of any court on the land if you have a legitimate administrator, because they're going to go right to the code, which isn't law. And the code's going to say, in the process of an emergency, these fines and fees can be waived. But we don't know that. We don't care to look at that. We're just going to believe whatever emergency is. Well, does it mean the state's trying to give your grandma a vaccine is going to kill her, so you got to use your property to get there? They just put her in a dog box. They just put her in a glass box to be looked at and not touched. Is that an emergency? Is that something that emerged and came up? It's absolutely ridiculous. You guys just believe this shit. You just repeat it. You say everyone's got to follow it. And then when other people get results defining the words and not adhering to it, you go, that didn't happen. He's a crazy Sovsit Dunning-Kruger. No, that's you. Not the Sovsit part, but the Dunning-Kruger part. Absolutely. So they can't tell you what words mean. They're literally redefining words all the time to make them mean something else. There's nothing stopping you from saying, in this case, emergency means this to me, and that's why I did what I did, and no man or woman could tell me any different. You don't go into court and act like that, because if you did, they go, this is the most idiotic thing ever. I'm not going to hear any of this at my court. Get out now, dismissed. Because they already know what you're doing, and they already know what they're doing, and they know why it's a bunch of hogwash, boulder dash, and poppycock. Go look at the code. A bunch of people got together, took a bunch of words, rewrote them down, redefined them, and said it applies to all persons. That's not even commensurate with their rules. Can't just say all persons and then include every man or woman with a given and family name to adhere to a definition of a word that isn't etymologically sound, that you just made up, like motor vehicle. What about COVID vaccines? What about them? Stop gaslighting your chat. I don't know what that means. The link is there. You're a bitch. How many times I gotta fucking humiliate you slaves and call you out for you to actually get up here and stand on something? You're a bitch, just like the 15 others I threw out tonight. You won't hit the link and come up here because you ain't got shit to present, and then you want to try to demean and devalue me to this audience. You fucking jealous, envious haters. Go play the skin flute online and get some viewers. Go start a OnlyFans. Show your pussy, all you beta males. Go crack your pussy open on OnlyFans and get some fucking followers and an audience. You're so desperate when you can't get what the fuck I or others have to try to demean and devalue and interfere with what I have. You're so pathetic. Don't you realize the majority of you mothers and fathers think you're a low-life scum and that you're embarrassing and pathetic, just like I do? They won't tell it to you, but they do. And they don't expect any more of you because they're just like you, the majority of them. You woke. Yeah, I'm beyond that. There's woke and then there's active, right? Motherfuckers who identify as woke ain't active usually. An adjective, that's not a verb.
Well, kind of like we talked about the day of, sir, without going too much detail, unless you really want to have a full hearing. Your driving record's not the greatest. On that day, we had some inclement weather. If you remember, it just stopped snowing, but there's still snow all over the freeway, and you're still going 16 to 20 over and failing to maintain your lane, right? So probably not the best idea to be driving, especially with a passenger.
Okay. So at this point then, Mr. Stiegel, the officer in charge of issuing the citation has offered to amend it to something with one fewer point. Do you want to accept that offer?
No.
Okay. So at this point, you have stated that you understand that you were speeding and that your point of contention here. Okay. So the ticket is going to stand as it is, and you've already admitted that you were speeding. So, okay, then you are responsible for the civil infraction of speeding 16 to 20 miles per hour over the speed limit. There's a $160 fine associated with that.
That's crazy, man. Yo, that's crazy. Anything to catch somebody up.
Okay, thank you. Your hearing is concluded. You are free to sign out of Zoom.
So what's next? I just get the 3 points and pay the fine?
So what's next?
So I can't have another hearing or nothing? I can't fight that?
You admitted responsibility on the record that you were speeding, so no.
Right. Once again, it wouldn't matter. Nobody can tell you. It's advisory code. It's not compulsory. Nobody can tell you how fast to take your property from point A to point B. It's not legitimate. They have no delegation of authority. There's no chain of title there. Well, there is when the majority of citizen slaves register. Regis means of the king. Register means of the king's records. So you essentially turned your property over to the state of and the oligarchy, the corporate oligarchy, which is why when they took my car at one point, they claimed the state of Colorado had interest in that property. They're claiming they have interest and equity in that property because it was at one time registered to the state of. So that's where they get you. You claim that that property belongs to the state of, or the state of has interest in it, so they believe they can tell you how fast to take it from point A to point B.
So can I ask the officer one more time why he won't just give me basically a pass and still pay the fine?
They're not laws. Over and over again, we have to go over this with you people. They're called statutes, policies, and codes for a reason. They're not laws. They're given the force of law through the consent of the governed. That's the Bill of Rights and Declaration of Independence. Oh, I see. This is mental illness. They all do this. All the citizen slaves who took the vaccines and tried to push them on the rest of us who we didn't take them, they all try to gaslight that we're all crazy and insane while they're crazy and insane and harming themselves and others and don't know their ass from their elbow. That's you. See? So there's statutes, policies, and codes for a reason because they're under a corporate capacity. They're in a corporate capacity. Statutes, policies, and codes are not laws. They're given the force of law through the consent of the governed. You can go look that up. Cornell University. I've shown it here in the past, right from Cornell University. Statute, I'll say it 10 times and the slaves won't get it. And they won't look it up either. Statute, policy, and code is given the force of law through the consent of the governed. Where do you think the consent is achieved? When you pay the slave tax and sign up as a citizen, which is defined as someone who owes allegiance to the United States, which is defined as a corporation. USC 1A. Let's pull it up now. We have almost 300 live viewers. USC 1A, United States. And this is where the attorneys will then argue with me. Well, it says that, but it's not that. The United States acts like a corporation, but it's not one. And that's when I told Artie and others my famous line, Artie, let me help you and others to understand what you just said to me. Your mother isn't a whore. She just acts like one. See how that works? You're not going to double talk me. You're not going to bullshit me. Whatever you act like alludes to what you are. Okay? And you're not going to draw a line of distinction between what the action is and what you call it. That's lying, deception, obfuscation, doublespeak. That's beta male lingo, right? They like to tell their wives that too. I cheated on you, honey, with a man, but I was on Vegas, and what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, so I didn't cheat. You did. Right? Because what you act like is what you're doing. So let's look it up. USC 1A, United States, federal corporation. What it's going to pull up as the definition. Should have had this ready. Yeah, well, there's the doing business as. We have that. The DBA is United States. All these state ofs have tax identifying numbers, TIN numbers, and DUNS numbers. That's not what I'm looking for, though. All right, if someone's in the audience, see if you can pull it up and put the link. I've shown it here before. Okay, here it is. I got it. Law.cornell.edu. Do you trust Cornell? Is that a valid source? All the bookworms and dweebs who like to fuck state booths, they like to ask, is that a valid source? You guys said the vaccine might not be good for us. What's your source? What is it, Facebook and YouTube? Well, that was good enough, wasn't it? Common fucking sense was good enough. We didn't need the valid source. But I'll give you the valid source. Is Cornell University good enough for you, guys? Hello? That you can't see it because this is a shitty layout. Can you see that? Can you see 28 USC 3002? United States means a federal corporation, an agency, department, commission, board, or other entity of United States. Or an instrumentality of the United States. Where's the United States incorporated? District of Columbia. It's not a unionized state. It's in between Virginia and Maryland. It's not even a unionized state. So you're literally saying on the tax forms you owe allegiance to a foreign corporation, and it's defined USC 1A as a federal corporation whenever you see United States. Okay. So you're saying that you were born in and live on a District of Columbia, which is a foreign corporation, has nothing to do with America, because you've been duped the fuck out. It's the biggest scam, fraud, corporate takeover in history. You thought COVID-19 was the biggest fraud, takeover, detraction from rights, corporate takeover, lockdown in history. Oh, this is even bigger. Even bigger. And you can go look up the difference between all caps United States and United States of America and all the differences there. See? One is the government of, by, and for the people on the land. That almost doesn't exist at this point. What does exist, according to all you tards, is the 1A definition of a federal corporation incorporated in the District of Columbia, which is not a unionized state. Hello. And you all want to fill out forms all day, every day, claiming you're a United States citizen because they don't leave you any other option on there. On the new forms, they used to have what was called American National or even United States National. What's the difference between United States National and United States citizen? We don't know, and we're not going to look it the fuck up because we're okay being slaved and pimped the fuck out and acting like a bunch of tards, repeating shit that don't make no sense all day, every day. That's the bottom line, ain't it? Now they don't even have that on most of the forms. They just have other, because they really got you duped and pimped. They just got foreign. What is it on the forms nowadays? I just got it yesterday. It says United States citizen, foreigner, and other. Right? To really just, could you cover this every day for 5 to 10 minutes? I guess I could. It's just like beating a dead horse at some point. You talk about looping. I mean, all of life is a loop. You know, conscious, unconscious, birth and death, night and day. I'm here anyway. I may as well take 5 to 10 minutes every day, pull up the definitions. I can even pull up the Supreme Court ruling where the administrator said, we have a serious problem that the majority of citizens believe in some force or government that is actually not the true government of the United States. Should I pull that up? Where the administrator himself said that we have essentially a takeover happening 100-something years ago, where he said the majority of the public thinks the government is the government. It's not the government, and the true government has been awash. It's defunct. Does anyone even care? Are they gonna, I know a few folks do, but do the majority care? Are they gonna do anything different? Are they gonna vote again for their favorite daddy to be their president? Why should I have to show them anything other than United States from its own code being defined as a corporation and then pointing out that the first 3 positions are president, vice president, and treasurer? You realize those are 3 positions you need for a company, right? A corporation. You're voting for heads of a corporation and company and then filling out the form saying you owe allegiance to the corporation, which is why they use policy and code on you. If you didn't, they wouldn't. And if they try to, when you get to court, it's very simple. There's the contract or lack thereof. There's a delegation of authority. There's the affidavit unrebutted. I don't know what you guys think you're going to do here. I don't know where you think you derive that delegation of authority or that contractual obligation for me to perform for you. Absolutely not. Now, for a trustee, of course, trustees, United States citizens, trustees are meant to uphold upkeep and maintain the corporate status, standing, and procedure. That's the legal society. That's why there's a law society and a legal society. Legal society handles all corporate business for the corporation known as United States. Law society upholds the law for the land and the people and the true government. Originally, U.S. citizens are liable for the debt. Absolutely. That's why the original congressional legislatures were put forth at a time of indebtedness, where they took down the original monetary system, the gold and silver, replaced it with legal tender rather than money or currency, right? And then they basically signed everybody up as the collateral. And all those debt notes are basically traded as a front for the backing, which is the man and woman who claims to be the citizen. That's how all credit and debit is extended, right? That's how the fractional reserve banking is done. It's all on debt and credit, and you are the debt and credit because you signed up to get a number and to get a person and enter yourself in that system and align with it and generate revenue as a debtor. Freedom in America is great, right? But the majority aren't free because they have no idea what it means to be actually free. That's why Donnie and all the rest of them love giving you guys $750 in stimulus, because every time you take those checks, you're admitting that you're part of the corporation and you're receiving benefits and privileges. So now you're beholden to them. You have an obligation to fulfill. I didn't take any stimulus. I was living in a tent at the time, starting a broadcast and working part-time and trying to get back to basics, live within my means, save, and have a different experience, right? Other than renting and all the rest of it, being in debt. So you could argue I needed it. Well, I must have not needed it because I didn't take it. It didn't affect my life. But everyone else did. Everyone else I know was hungry to get that $750 buy off, payoff that generates more obligations for them. Great stuff. Yeah, well, never got it. You should be thankful and grateful. Thankful and grateful you didn't take the devil's blood money to generate more obligations and debt for yourself and others, to take down everything good and great about this land while claiming we're going to make it great again. All they're going to make great again is old world / new world order. And you folks, majority of you are going to go right along with it. Oh no, let's put that away. We don't need the definitions of what United States is and how it's all a corporation, because it acts like one, but it's not one, right? What Artie, the attorney, said to me. Double talking swine. That's the narcissist, the guy who comes on duping, delighting, and lying to everyone's face and ignoring what the fuck's printed there. Love the way you lie. I was going to say contributions have been pretty light lately. Like everyone got tired of me, but Julian Barbary says, thanks, Paul. Thank you, sir. An equitable man, contributing to where he gets entertainment and value. Unlike the rest of you swine. Hey, I got more to do here anyway. You know, I choose to take every setback, test, or challenge or supposed lack as an opportunity, right? When things slow down with contributions, support, gifts from extended friends and family, non-taxable events, I start looking at, hey, I should be working more on building houses. You know, I should be working more on fixing cars and getting more talents and abilities and skills that I can use to co-create and generate value and just, you know, fix my own shit in my own life. So, yeah, that's probably up next. If I can heal myself, getting back to some other talents, abilities, skills, or just part-time co-creation in different ways. You're a ticking time bomb, homie, so shut your political ass up and take your fake ass shit to the White House and see if they want to hear it. Okay, I'm going to throw you out because you just don't get it. I'm not for most people, and you're definitely not one of them. Why would I go to the White House? I'm interested in going to the White House. Or any of that? What the hell does that even mean? I'm a ticking time bomb. That's you and your corporation. Have you seen the last 4 years? Seen the last 250 years? Absolutely incredible. All right, I think I'm going to get the hell out of here. Back tomorrow, somewhere between 12 and 5 MDT. Like, share, subscribe for a chance to win. Just don't ask me chance to win what. It's just a chance to win. We'll have a chance to win here in this life some way, somehow. If we can see the move and have the vision, do the next right thing. So that's it. You already got your chance to win and you don't even know it. Don't say I never did nothing for you. Final words. Do I have any? Be safe. That's what they all tell you. Everywhere you go. Be safe. Forget about freedom. Just be safe. No, I think I'm good to go. I've said enough for a lifetime. What do we got on the way out? Call unavoidable. What's your favorite? Gorilla Gems. Intro, outro. I like this one. This is still one of my favorites. It's got the Scarface, and I get to play the bad guy. And if I was ever going to be a wrestler, I'd want to be the heel. I'd want to speak truth, be aligned with something, be a bit theatrical, and ultimately, to the majority of the citizen slaves, be the heel. So I think that's working perfectly. If I was a WWE character here, that's exactly how it would go. They say I'm a bully. They say I'm a meanie. They say I'm a bad guy. I'm a crazy soft set terrorist. I'm a ticking time bomb. I'm all the rest of it. I'm everything bad and wrong. Imagine this. I'm everything bad and wrong with the world today. And they're just, on the up and coming path. So blessings and grace to all the loser, failure, jealous, envious haters. They need it more than I do, apparently. They have nothing else to do and be here. And I want them to get on a path of revelation. More to do and being happier. Paul and convinced on the way out. I said already, I'll back tomorrow, 12 to 5 MDT. I did it all already. Let's go. Bye.
Hey, who the fuck do you think you're talking to, huh? Who the fuck do you think I am? Fucking dumb boy? Do you want to go to war? Come on. Do you want to go to war? We think it's a war. Hey.
This is an arduous task. You need discipline and will. There's nothing fucking guaranteed. That's called being a man in life. Where else in life do you get fucking guarantees exactly? Can you find something in life being a fucking man that you get a guarantee over and isn't worth doing because it's difficult, testing, challenging, and requires something of a motherfucker to get it done? Where are we at here? Seriously, what fucking realm am I in? Bunch of inauthentic corporate beta males who want to just say shit that makes no sense and avoid the inherent hierarchical power and value systems, meaning and purpose and principles written into the cosmos and the fabric of reality. One with self, in conscience. Would you please stop? We're done. I'm done with you. If I can see you and know you, the damn universe and whatever runs it can see you and know you, and it's doling out as we speak. I'm saying you gotta bang it out sometime. I'm saying you gotta go to a box sometime. I'm saying you gotta put some shit on record and surrender in faith and not know where it's gonna end up. That's the whole point of doing what I do. Because nothing is guaranteed. It's called cosmic gambling, you bitch ass motherfucker, and you wouldn't know nothing about it because fortune favors the bold, and you're not fortunate. You're an unfortunate slave. I can tell by looking at you. That's why we're in slavery and genocide, because weak fucking bitch-ass males create hard times. Go ask the Hopis who prophesied that. Don't argue with me. They're supposed to hate. If they ain't hating, right, then we ain't doing what's true and what's right. How many motherfuckers you think were hating on the Christed being in Scripture for walking around like he had a pair? For telling everybody and their mother and brother, you better hate your own father and mother if necessary to ride with this God and truth. They forget how that being was walking around telling them, you're a status fucking infidel swine, and so are they, and you better come out of her, my people, or we're all going into judgment. You folks still haven't figured out the only reason I got to this point is because I abolished my ego and aligned with universal law completely. What you perceive as ego is your ego and narcissism you're projecting onto me. I've killed off my false sense of lower self to unite with a higher sense of self to do what needs to be done for all of us. That's the absence of ego, not the abundance of it. Projecting fuck slaves. The egotistical, narcissistic ones are the ones who haven't done what I've done yet and continue to not do it because their fear runs their life. They're not faithful in truth. They're afraid of the damn truth, and they run the opposite direction into the arms of their captors
right? Or into a purgatorial state of delusion. Either way, same outcome, unactualized, unrealized, spiritually dead, back to the recycling pit for you. See if we can get it in the next slide.
Want your answer? They're Crips and Bloods, man. They're gangbangers, bro. Just like the ones on the street, just a different level.
Yeah, so you admit you work for a mafia, basically.
I do, man. Hell yeah, dude. And I got insurance through a mafia.